Why does the black man serve the white man? Why does everything the black man do benefit the white man? Why does the black man say freedom is doing what I want to do? And why is it that everything he wants to do enriches the European?
Welcome to the desert of the real.
Yes.
So on you, Neo. We're on the air.
All right, Pringle family, what's going on? This is Neo Black. After a long, sabbatical from broadcasting, welcome you tonight. We are joined when she gets here. Our sister Belle Thanos about her trip to Rwanda. As you all can understand, that Rwanda has been quite the talking points of members of the BAIO based on what's going on in the country, how it's developing, the fact that there's whole story of just rising from less than nothing to produce something in terms of having a stable, functional, and thriving country. So that's something we're very interested in. As of recently, our sister, she visited the country about last month. She stayed for 10 days, and she's given it rave reviews. I mean, to the point where everybody in the organization is excited to hear what she has to say about it. Because this November coming up, we're actually taking a trip to the country there for, at least a week or two to basically see it for ourselves. So that is the purpose of this show today. We have with us, of course, Brother Holipsism, a regular. We have Dundada and our brother Ali whenever he decides to come in. And of course, Sister Belle, she's going to be joining us sooner, later on in the show once, she gets the opportunity to. So, brothers, let's talk about Rwanda. As you notice, if you're following us on the Facebook group, they've recently launched a satellite, the first ever satellite, to link the country in terms of providing internet services, for education services mostly, to basically to link all the schools with the metropolises and in the rural areas, because this is a part of the president Paul Kagame's plan, what's called Vision 2020, whereby the year 2020 he wants the entire country connected and developing. We all know about Rwanda's history in a sense from 1994. Basically, that was the the apex of the genocide that everybody knows of from a certain film, Hotel Rwanda, where it discusses that. But what no one really talks about, particularly Africans in diaspora, is how far the country has come and what it means to us, not only as an organization, the BAIO, but as Black Americans who are looking for places to visit, not only to travel, but possible places to relocate, and how it affects us as an organization who wants to build a nation on the continent, to see something going on in real time from the level that we appreciate, basically by pulling themselves up by the bootstraps, which is pretty much the model of the BAIO and its members. So I want to ask you, brothers, because we've been in contact with Belle and we've talking about it. How excited are you with respect to visiting this country later on in the year, and what exactly do you hope to take out of it once you get there, or hopefully stay there?
I'll let Dundada go.
Yeah, so I think I came in just in the right time when y'all was talking about the Rwanda trip and everything, and it was a great pick. So doing a little bit of research, I was kind of like, surprised that the country was the developing country has achieved more within 10 years than what we have done in the States. So I'm like, wow.
Yes.
And then like keep reading on and on, is like they are achieving stuff that like universal healthcare. I was like, oh man, this is awesome. So when y'all brought up the idea of going there, I was like, shit, I gotta go here. So because all of the it's just like, I don't want to say it's like a fascination that I have for it, but it's just like, damn, I definitely got to see. I
it's
definitely
a good
got
thing to be fascinated about. I give you that much.
Yeah.
But
go ahead.
Go ahead, brother. No, because I'll say, because it's such a stark contrast based on what we're experiencing here,
Right.
and basically what we hope to, what we, basically pretty much everybody in the BAIO is primarily there because we believe in the mission, but we're fed up with this whole experience we got in this country,
Right.
with everything we're going through. We're just looking for places to go to where we could just basically live our lives and not have to deal with this whole system. And to
Right.
have another nation that is developing where that is possible, that of course is something that got us all excited.
Right.
As you were saying, like when I first heard about it, I got fascinated. In fact, there are 2 books that I'm reading on the subject of Rwanda. One is called A Thousand Hills by Stephen Kinzer. Rwanda's Rebirth and the Man Who Dreamed It. This book goes into detail about specifically Paul Kagame and how he went from basically in his childhood being an exile from the country because the Hutu-Tutsi War, the stuff was going on long before the events of 1994 with the genocide. What happened was they got along at one point, then the Belgians came along and they split them all up, and that created animosity. Once they got independence and the Europeans left, the Hutus took over, and there was a first sort of civil war where they forced a lot of the Tutsis out. Paul Kagame is what's formerly known as Tutsi. Those designations don't exist anymore in the country. He's gotten rid of them. They were forced out, so he was in exile from his country for almost 30, mostly all of his life. He's never even lived in this country. So, he lived in the United States for a while. He was trained by the U.S. military for a while. And the sheer fascination of how his story was with respect to just being this exile to someone who organized, fellow Tutsis or whatever, to come back to Rwanda. Because one thing about him is that he believed in Rwanda being just Rwanda. He was Rwandan first before he was anything else first. He put his nationhood before his own tribe. And that's what really drove him back. So he comes back, in the early, I think the late 80s or something like that. And he, is a rebel group. He's part of an insurgency to take down the government. What happens is the president of Rwanda at the time, I can't pronounce his name, crazy name, his plane gets shot down, and that was really the main thing. He was a Hutu, and that's the main thing that started off the genocide, about, that we also infamously know about. But fast forward to today, now the country's just moved beyond that. Now the modern infrastructure developing, one of the cleanest country in Africa. I would venture to say one in the world. I mean, there was a video where a guy was literally sitting in a gutter, eating food, and nothing was like wrong at all. In fact, the gutters are cleaned 5 times a day. That's crazy. And when Belle gets here, she'll verify this because she's seen it with her own eyes.
Yeah, she's in the chat. She's saying she's trying to get in. I just sent her the link. Again via text. So, but go ahead.
Okay, but I mean, there she is. Finally, welcome.
Hi, finally.
Hey.
Yeah, it's the star of the show. We could love the curtain.
Finally.
No. Well, so, oh my goodness. So what happened? You just still at work?
Oh, must be a lag.
Yeah, I'm still at work.
Okay. Well, for as long as we can have you, we're happy to have you.
I'm 4 hours behind the East Coast, so the time zone is always off for me, which I'm always kind of, doing something here, and you guys probably sleeping or vice versa. So yeah,
no,
I apologize.
I'm just up. No problem, sis. I mean, I've been wanting to have this discussion with you for a very long time. Since you got back, since you was posting the photos in the group. We just turned the floor over to you. I'm like, what happened? I'm like, first on out, how did you end up in Rwanda? I kind of have an idea because, it started out, we were all supposed to be there with you, and then things, didn't, go as planned. But just from, just have the floor. How did you end up in Rwanda? What did you see? What went on?
Okay, yeah, I can start from there. So yes, we ended up there because we talked about it. Actually, you brought it up, Neo, months ago, back in September. Mm-hmm. You're just like, go to Rwanda. Yeah. And I actually was originally planned on going to Nigeria in January, but I changed it because I thought, all of us were going. And because it was so last minute, because we decided on February, because it's low season there, which it is. It's not like high travel tourism, so it's it's not as bad, I guess, as it would be in the summer. So we decided to go, but things didn't work out because of funds and getting enough people, and just whatever logistics of trying to get at least more than 10 people to agree to go, so we can make it kind of more affordable for the rest of the group. It was hard to do that last minute. And when I did some of the meetups, especially the Maryland, the DC meetup, what's up?
No, I'm just agreeing with you.
Oh, I thought you just called me, but when I did some of the meetups, oh, that's interesting. How come I'm showing up? The people were saying like they wanted to go, and they couldn't because it was just the timing. So, that's interesting. I'm not showing up twice. I was just looking at something on the screen, which is weird why I'm showing up twice. So, I think I'm signing on the computer too. Sorry, I was trying to get in multiple times. All right, but yeah, so I ended up going because by the time everyone dropped out, I already purchased my plane ticket. So,
Lord.
And I really
Sorry about that.
I used my credit card miles and points to purchase the ticket. So you can't really, it's not easy to just trade it back once you use those. So, and that was a $1,200 ticket because I flew from Alaska to Rwanda. So that was a long trip. So, so I was like, screw it, let me just go. And so I went. Actually, prior to all of this, I found the tour guide that we agreed on, using through. Actually, I found him through Facebook, and this is interesting because I found him through a Facebook post where Paul Kagame was posting. Not Paul Kagame, but people were posting how Paul Kagame was built a bunch of houses for the homeless. People were posting, commenting about that, and we all thought that was like, yo, that's dope, that's amazing. So there was a lot of comments under that post, those houses, and I commented under saying, hey, I want to visit, who can I reach out to? And I was given like about 3 for tour guides, and out of the 3, 1 got back to me. And then from there, that's when we were trying to set up and plan to go on our own. And I ended up going in and, doing the tour with him. It was a 10-day tour. We toured Kigali for probably about 4 or 5 days. And there's a lot to do there. It's a small city, but it's a lot to do. And the rest of the time, we went throughout the rest of the country, which is a small country, but there was still like a lot to see and do. And it's amazing. It is definitely worth the trip. Like it's amazing to see what's happening because you could see the development. You could see the other communities. Like I was able to actually see a Congolese refugee camp. I was able to go to like the border of the Congo to Goma to see where, like that's really a safe area, so to speak. A lot of people go there and like hang out because it's near their huge lake. So it was a lot of different places. I went to the border of Tanzania and there too, going towards the east. So we went from like north, south, east, west. We went around the whole country. So I have a lot of video footage I need to post. But it's definitely worth it. So getting there, it's really easy. You just need a passport and $30 US. You don't need to fill out any forms beforehand. You don't need any vaccines. You don't need anything else other than your passport and $30 US. You don't need to fill out any forms beforehand. What's happening? I got some playback.
No, that was me. I'm sorry. I was trying to share this on. No, I was trying to share this on my page. You go ahead.
Okay, so you get there. You get off the plane, and the flights usually people come in through is from Amsterdam. And from Amsterdam you could fly to almost all of Africa, basically. So from Amsterdam to Kigali, that flight was about 8.5 hours. And obviously you need the flight to Amsterdam, from your respective city, which however many hours that would be. So from Amsterdam, you get there, and surprisingly enough, and I sent this message while I was in Amsterdam airport, The majority of the people on the plane were white Americans.
No
So I'm
kidding.
like, huh, they clearly know something that, the word didn't get out to us. Yeah, it was mostly white Americans. And they were kind of more on the tourist end of it. The rest
Mhm.
were a mix of Indians and Europeans for more so for business and
Yeah.
stuff. So that was like an interesting dynamic. But also that flight, when you catch that flight to Finland and the second stop in Uganda. So I
Mhm.
found out on the plane some people were getting off at Uganda anyway. So once you get off the plane, like all you do, you go through passport control. You just need your passport and $30. You're good to go. After that, they do kind of scan whatever. Oh, they tell you before they get off the plane. They make it very clear. No of that shit away. Any bags you need to get, you got to be left on the plane.
Yes,
Because you're going to leave
plastic
the
bags are
you're getting off
illegal
the
in
plane like
Rwanda.
on the tarmac, basically.
Yeah.
And you're going to walk into the station. So they scan your bags to make sure you're not carrying anything extra. And then you go pick up your bag. So it's pretty standard and easy. Security is tight throughout the whole city. And I thought this was going to be like uncomfortable or be an issue. To be honest, it really wasn't. It wasn't that, like, you really do get used to it. Basically, everywhere you go, whether it's you can be going to a shopping mall, because you went to a mall, you're going to get like just kind of go through a regular security scan. Like they don't really stop and check your bag. They just, you just got to walk through the scanner. That's it. So that's like the status quo being there. And that's within Kigali. Outside of Kigali, it's not that tight, but you still see kind of like, police and military personnel. Because the one thing they say about with Paul Kagame, he is very strict about security,
Yes.
national security, all of that. Like, he's not playing.
Exactly.
But what else? When I got there, God, it was so much. So when I got there, I didn't pick the hotel we originally agreed with. And oh yeah, ask questions. I'm talking a lot and I talk really fast. So
Oh, no
definitely
problem.
jump in.
Oh, no problem. We just want you to
Someone asked a question that, okay. Also, Owusi asked
What was the question he asked?
I didn't catch that. Say that again, Neo.
What language are out there? So we put them on Google Translator to make our own translate. That's what he asked. Did you hear that?
Well, I can answer. Rwanda is for the most part an English-speaking nation. I think a few years ago they made English like the official language of the nation. So you should have pretty good experience with communicating. Belle, can you verify that?
So the language there.
Kind of went out, Bill.
The language there, there's like a lag, but I don't know if it's my phone or not. It probably is. See, I got bad internet. Okay. Am I cutting out?
You're good now.
You good now? Yeah.
All right. I might just end up reconnecting on the computer than on my phone, because on my phone it's testy out here. But so there's 3 languages commonly spoken there, and basically everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. The official language is Kinyarwanda. It's their native language. Majority are speaking Kinyarwanda. Second language is French. Most of them all know French, and third language is English. And majority of them know English. Not everybody know fluent English, but so everyone is walking around speaking 3 languages. And when I say everyone, they're kids too. Like I met 5-year-olds speaking these languages. So,
wow.
So yeah, it's like they're on a whole different level. And then it expands from there because they're so close to Tanzania. There's people who speak Swahili too.
Yeah,
So 4 languages. Yeah, so essentially, like the tour guide I use, he speaks 4 languages minimum. It's
wow.
and it's just natural. He just switches through it all the time. But yeah, so the Kinyarwanda is their official language, and that's what most of them speak. Which I promise to work on learning. It's a Bantu language. Is to me very difficult. I'm not sure where I'm getting started, but then I go out there and I see white people learning it, and that motivates me. I'm like,
exactly.
Oh hell no! There's no excuse for that. So
exactly. But I want to ask you.
Go ahead.
No problem. Okay. Once you get through with the language, I want to ask you about the most important thing: food and coffee. Yeah.
Okay, so the food is actually in my opinion, it's no different than any West Indian dish you've ever had.
Oh,
Like, I
wow.
feel like it's standard across. They have their standard kind of traditional dish, which is common across. I was told it's not even just across East Africa, it's across the African continent in general. And it's like, oh, I forgot what it's called. I think it's sambosa, and it's maize flour that they kind of like they make this flour, and it comes into like a flour ball, and you rip pieces off of it and kind of dip it into whatever meat mix that you may have.
Okay.
And it's actually pretty good, but you know, it's like you're eating it with your hands. So
Okay.
it's just, you know, we're like that. But that's kind of like the custom dish of like all of Africa, I guess, from the way it was explained to me. But other than that, there's all their dishes. Like, I can't think of one dish that stood out because they had a lot of plantains, which I'm Haitian, so I'm used to that. They did have
Nice.
they do eat a lot of carbs. I would say that there's a lot of carbs. And I was
So
just
if you're
like,
on a keto diet, that place you're not gonna fare too well.
well, no, actually, you'll do fine. The reason why is it's the land of 1,000 hills. So if you're walking, you're perpetually
yes.
working out.
So you're gonna burn it all off.
You're gonna burn it all off like crazy. So it's like you kind of need all those carbs just for the energy it takes to move around.
Wow.
So it started making sense because they do like a lot of potatoes and rice, and you know, like, so it's a typical kind of any like West Indian or like African dish you can imagine. I feel like they were all the same. I was like, okay, this is no different from anything my mom's made. So it was pretty easy. The coffee was amazing.
Oh, that's what I needed
The
to hear.
coffee and the tea that they worth it. And I found out that Starbucks actually get a good portion of their coffee and tea stock from Rwanda, which is it's an interesting fact. They say they get about more than 50% of their coffee and tea from Rwanda.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, so they're now like, oh, go ahead.
Because I went to Costa Rica last year, and looking at the videos that you posted, like, it looks similar to Costa Rica except more clean, and more black, and more striving to be like Singapore. So
and that's what's interesting. People say like Kigali is the cleanest city, and Kigali is clean. The entire country is clean. When I tell you how clean this country is, like, even the dirt roads are neat. Even like I went to the village where the pygmies were, in like, you know, the distant, you know, mountains areas of it, and it was still clean. They said that's the one of the key things that president is serious about is cleanliness throughout the whole country. He has been known to fire mayors, fire governors on the spot if it was not clean.
That is fascinating.
He will do pop-ups. So he's done pop-ups like where if they know he's coming, people kind of just all clean up. And he had a feeling they were doing that because they knew he was coming. So he started not announcing and would just go. And if the place was dirty, you were wiped out of office the next day.
Wow.
So
it's so fascinating because, like I said, I mentioned before, there's a book I'm reading called 1,000 Hills about Paul Kagame. And one of the things that, like, his style of management, let's just talk about him for a second, because like, this guy is fascinating. Like what I was explaining, when he took over the country, literally the people were walking around like zombies. They were so traumatized by events. As I was explaining the Holip earlier, the UN ambassador to the country, like, who was there, who was constantly warning about a possible genocide, his assistant and the assistant's assistant all had nervous breakdowns. That's how bad the country was. His assistant had to leave the country because, you know, he lost his mind in a sense. He was mortally depressed. The assistant's assistant had to be physically restrained and removed from the country. And the top general at the time, he was a UN liaison, he was French, I believe, to cope with the stress of the genocide, because literally in Kigali there were bodies piled up everywhere and animals were eating people and stuff. It smelled awful, it was awful. They had no government to work with. Like, the government buildings, when everybody fled, like, they took the doors off the hinges. They didn't even have doors in the government buildings. And they looted the treasury, so there was no money left or anything like that. Well, this general, in order to cope with all this, he had like a flock of goats that he was taking care of, and he had them in the stadium. When he heard that a pack of wild dogs were attacking the goats, he like literally got a service revolver and started firing, and he lost his mind. So the situation was hopeless when Paul Kagame took over. To give people an idea of when Belle says that this guy is serious about his country, this is a guy who loves his country. He was exiled from his country for about 30 years, but for about most of his life when the first civil war happened between the Hutus and the Tutsis. So when he returned to Rwanda, he returned with an idea that, you know, we're going to make this place world-class at everything, a world-class nation. And he was always Rwandan first. Like, he didn't care for the designation of Hutu or Tutsi. And we're going to talk about that because, like, today in Rwanda, it's sort of a taboo to mention those terms. Like, if you look at the demographics in Rwanda, 41% of the country is younger than 19. So that means you have 41% of the country, roughly, that probably don't even know what a Hutu or a Tutsi is. And, you know, Belle's going to expound on the demographics because she has some very interesting things to say in terms of the male-female relationship, the female ratios on the conference call. I didn't get that from her photos because I would assume the exact opposite. I think it was her personal bias, but, you know, she's going to verify that.
She was focused, man. She was focused. That's what it was.
Exactly, because I was like, there ain't nothing but dudes in this country. Because every time she took a picture, it was with a dude. It was with a dude. So I'm thinking that was her personal bias. But Belle, if you just want to expound on that in terms of not just the demographic change, but, you know, how serious President Kagame is with respect to keeping the country clean, keeping it safe, because one of the main things he expounded upon when he took over was that this country is not going to work if it's not safe. So that contributes a great deal in terms of its security and also its governance with respect to corruption. I mean, if you could just speak on that, sis, just to verify, you know, because you've been there and I'm basically going what I'm reading, so verify if there's any validation in any of this. Is she there?
No, I think she dropped.
Oh, wow.
So, until she comes back on, so like, yeah, she was the conference call that we had. That it was very interesting.
Yes.
And, but also, as we was speaking earlier about as I was speaking earlier about the
Okay, I'm back. Sorry.
Okay.
Oh my God. So yeah, it's just been a headache with the phone and kicking off. Okay, so I did catch some of what you said, Neo, with the male and female ratio. So I was
and I was saying that because I listened to the conference call and you mentioned the ratio, but I was like, looking at your photos, I would expect the exact opposite, or I think it was a little biased on your behalf.
And what's funny, when you look at it, you would think it's the exact opposite. That's what I thought.
Exactly.
There's no way there's that much women. And I didn't realize it until when I got into an enclosed space when I went to the traditional wedding. And then you're like, oh, the numbers are really off. But like out and about in the streets, it is a lot of men. You see a lot of dudes first. But and I want to apologize because on that conference call, I realized I put out a huge exaggeration. That is just the jet lag. It's 12 hours difference for me and there. So it's not, the ratio is not 8-1, but it is like at least it's anywhere between 4 or 6 women to 1 man. There's a lot of women. A lot. So so the men, so it's kind of developed this dynamic where the men are kind of like, just chilling. They want to play the field. And the women are just like, no, we need to get married and find someone right away. Just because pickings. So there is that dynamic going on. That's the way it was explained to me by the dudes there. That was like, no, the women outnumber us by several. So you know, like he's like, yeah, so if y'all want to come over here and take some, that's fine.
Oh, wow. So, see, that's a selling point right there. We've probably got half the people going on the trip now.
Try to mute all of you guys. Okay. So, all right, sorry. Still just having some technical difficulties here. But, yeah, so there's a lot more women than men. And that's why, they explained to me, that's why in their politics, you know, they say that the Senate has more women. It does, because they do represent a majority of the population. So the way Paul Kagame saw it, he didn't want a majority of the population underrepresented and, kind of seen as, a gender bias situation.
Yeah.
And so they do like put women in those positions of power. And the women, what's interesting is the women, like, they work, they doing their thing, like, they have their careers and everything, but they're all very, very traditional. So they believe in kind of like marriage. They believe in the woman should be home to take care of, she should be available to take care of the kids as well. They believe in the man, going out and working and kind of helping support you, being the primary support of the family. And she's just like an additive to just the support system. So they maintain a lot of the traditional ways, which which I thought was a really good mix, because I did hear you say like there's the 40% of the population are under the age of 20, and that is true. So overall, I want to say like 65% of their population is under the age of 30. So it's a very young population.
Yeah.
And there's from what I was told, there's a wedding every weekend. Just because a traditional wedding is just very complex. It's like seven ceremonies involved and all this stuff. And I just went to one out of the 7, which just sounds so crazy to me. But so they do maintain a lot of their traditional dances, traditional culture.
Wow.
And they're all about promoting that. And it's really nice to see like the young take part in it. Like the young are really involved in the traditional kind of traditional dances and everything. Their nightclubs are similar. Like they'll have like, a mix of nightclubs where you can listen to reggae, you can listen to hip hop, and all those mixes. And then they'll have their traditional nightclub where you listen to
house
music, and everyone gets into it and dancing. And that is that's a really popular place. Like the traditional nightclubs.
Wow. So did you hear any house music there? That's one thing I want to ask.
If polygamy if it's popular there. It's not, but a lot of the dudes are hopeful that that's a trend that'll pick up.
Oh, wow. I could figure that'd be the case.
Apparently polygamy is popping in Tanzania, which is just next door.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
So I would think that the reason why you have a lot of young people, the percentage is high, is because of their rebuilding of, because you remember the genocide happened. So most of what I'm thinking, like, a lot of the adults got killed. So the younger generation growing up now, it's like replacing those. So
and even speaking of that, like I remember you briefly mentioned how you're not allowed to speak of tribal, groups there. Now it's interesting because it's considered taboo to bring up tribes because the young just don't want to be, labeled in tribes. They're like, they're their own thing. They're like, nah, we all Rwandan. We see what tribalism is doing throughout the rest of the continent, and it's not working. Like they have that much sense to say, like, you know what, F it all, we just not claiming tribes. But they actually do. There was a couple of events that occurred, and it made the media where people's tribe was brought up. And one of the events was the Miss Rwanda pageant. There was like a huge controversy with one of the girls. She was a favorite. And then, long story short, some of the girls didn't like her. A lot of other people didn't like her because she was just kind of like the underdog, but they was used to other people winning and, kind of just wanting certain people to win. So they accused her father of being a Hutu. And this was made public in the media. So she ended up losing off that alone, which is sad because she obviously had nothing to do with it. That was her dad. So, they was like, oh, he's a war criminal, he's a Hutu. So, and then that kind of, the older generation kind of still, I don't want to say tore into her, but kind of used that against her. So you can see where the divide is amongst like the old and the young, but everyone is still very respectful. And for the most part, a majority of them just don't care. They don't even want to think about it. One of the dynamics there that the tour guide, the way he was explaining it to me, he said, naturally, especially with the older generation, he's like, one of the problems within Rwanda is there's not a lot of trust amongst each other, and for obvious reasons. The older generation, they survived the genocide, and they don't know, because they don't know who's in what tribe, they don't know if you killed someone they knew or not.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, touchy a little bit amongst each other. So it's not like they're competing or they're fighting with each other. It's none of that. It's just, like doing business with each other is a little bit difficult.
Yeah.
Because especially with the older generation, because they have that lack of trust amongst each other. The younger generation, that's not the case. They're just chilling. They just want to, like move past it and move forward. And like Richard said, they'll die out over time. That whole kind of tribalism, or thinking of, continually thinking of, the genocide and letting that be part of their decision making, that is kind of trending out, and you can see it. It is definitely
that's awesome.
trending out. So, like with time, it will.
Yes, that's one of the things that excites me about the whole thing. That one great blessing is the fact that the country is so young. Is that the old do not have as much power as say in another country. Like for example, in Japan, the old people run the society to the point where they are stifling the young people's attempts to grow. Why? Because all the resources financially and everything is growing to take care of the old people. My friend who lived in Japan at the time said she was at a meeting and the executives spent more time discussing adult diapers than anything else.
Oh, good God.
Exactly. So the fact that Rwanda has so few older people, because I was looking at the demographics, less than 1%, I believe, is over the age of 85. The fact that so many younger people, and even with millennials, I think in the 30s, they probably have like a sort of some memories of the genocide, but the fact that you have so many people born after 2000, when Kagame took over, where the country had relative amounts of peace, so they pretty much enjoyed the emerging Rwanda now, and I think that's an amazing thing that tribalism has.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I see sometimes people say like, oh, the people feel trapped, they're not happy there. One, yes, security is very tight, and you notice it, and you're just like, damn, security is like, what's all of this about? But overall, the people are happy. When I tell you about and they'll even say it, they're like, listen, we thought it would be a problem. We thought they were being strict and, we were being oppressed, up until they went to another country, their neighbors in Tanzania or Uganda. And they're like, nah, man, we rather be in Rwanda with all the strictness. We rather be here. So it's like they're not even against it. They're like, listen, it may not be the only way, but we know it's the best way for us. And the way it was explained to me, they said what you have to understand is like their president is one of when he came in, through with the RPF and everything, he was the one man who can identify with all the groups. He could identify, well, obviously with the Tutsi, because that's what he is. He could identify with the young wanting to, trend out of the old regime and wanting to advance with technology. He could identify with that. He could even identify with the Hutu when after the genocide, yes, there were people who, they're going to get arrested. There are people still being arrested for war crimes, but they weren't being executed. And he developed programs to help them kind of rehabilitate the cities they destroyed. So like I went to some provinces where they were straight up saying like, so how this province got started was after the genocide. All the prisoners who was in this area who took part in it, who burned the houses and, was killing people, they were required to rebuild the community.
Yes.
That was a requirement. That was part of their punishment and stuff, to like rebuild the houses, rebuild the home, reestablish the community. Some just did straight like that. Some other provinces, what they ended up doing is, besides them rebuilding the community, they made them work with the current members of the community, the victims of it. And this was a way to try to get them to like build trust amongst each other again, because what else are you going to do? Because like if 1 million people were already killed, like what is he going to do? Execute 1 million more? Like is already in chaos. Like 7.5 million people were displaced, were refugees in other countries. So he had to find a way to get them back. And so it was just, when rebuilding was just, a process that, no one helped them too. Remember, the UN turned their back when this happened. And when I went to the genocide memorial, it was like a huge, to get all the fine facts and details, I didn't realize how fucked up it was. Like I knew the genocide was bad, but like it's the way the rest of the world left them to die, and they did. That absolutely happened. That was like heartbreaking to see. So it was like, oh shit! Like so he had to come up with something. And they tried to turn into the UN to bring justice amongst, you know, what was done wrong, people were part of it. They said historically the UN only tried, I want to say 40 cases.
70 cases, and it cost $1 billion to try those 70 cases. It was a total waste.
And it wasn't even like, I have to look at the numbers again because I'm getting them mixed up. It was a very low number. So what the Rwandans did, they turned back to their traditional way of their traditional judicial system, which was very, very kind of like archaic. Because they did something what they call gachacha court, which is basically
it was a local thing.
Yeah, it's a local thing. They tried more cases through that local court system. They tried over 10,000 cases, and through that local system rather than what the UN was doing. And so, like, that's when it was like, you know, basically, fuck the rest of the world. We're going to rebuild ourselves. And they had to start from, like, negative. And when I say negative, like, the way, you know, Gabby explained it to me, our tour guide. We were just like, we had nothing. When I say nothing, there was no school, no government, no stores, nothing.
I was telling earlier how when the previous government fled, they took, and the government buildings, they took the doors off the hinges. I mean, nothing. And they looted the treasury. They had $100 million of gold, looted it.
He was like, he was like, we weren't even at zero because you got to start at zero. He was like, we weren't even there. He was like, you have 7.5 million displaced, 1 million dead, another 1 million criminals all over the place. You know, he's just like, what do you
and a ton of refugees at that. And it got even worse because what happened was once Kagame's party took over, the group he was in, I think they were called the RF, the Rwandan Patriotic, the RPF, the Rwandan Patriotic Front.
Right.
Then he had to battle an insurgency after that. So they weren't even out of the woods yet. And not only that, but
in some regards, they're still not out. But like when you go there, you can see like they'll tell you, okay, RPF owns this, RPF owns that, and they do. They run and own a lot. But everything they do, I can honestly say this after being there, it is actually it does help them profit, but it also benefits the people. It also benefits the populace there. So you can't say like that. Oh, they're just that is not true at all. And like everything, is they just do businesses like they own like the most popular milk factory, which the milk there is delicious. So
of course it's organic. And I want to ask you about the quality of the food because when I went
was great. The quality was organic. Everything is just grown fresh.
Oh, okay, good.
The quality was delicious.
Oh, good. So when you drink milk there, you're not going to get cancer or grow.
No, you're not.
Another person out of your neck that's going to jump out and run and hit somebody.
No. So in the U.S., I don't even drink milk. I drink almond milk. But over there, I can drink regular milk. Like,
and I noticed that when I left the U.S., okay, I had coffee with cream. And usually I thought I was lactose intolerant, but everything was produced locally and organic. And I had no reaction. Like I would say, I keep talking about Costa Rica. That's the only place I went, but it's similar in the fact that everything was organically produced. When I tell you the Angus burger felt like eating a salad here, I was no joke. Like everything went through, like no problem. It digested very well, and you didn't feel like you were weighed down with a ton of bricks or anything like that.
No. It didn't have that. And keep in mind though, when you initially travel there, you do have some. You don't have like digestive, well, I wouldn't say you don't have digestive problems. You do to some degree, but that's actually a lot more from jet lag than what you're eating. Because I didn't have like stomach pains or anything, but in the mornings I did have some problems. But that was more so because I was a 12-hour difference.
Jet lag that's called Hershey squirts.
Exactly.
Your body got to adjust to it. Yeah, it's all good. Hey, so we have a question from Complex Sin. He says, what type of government does Rwanda have? So if you could expound on that a little bit as far as how
their government is definitely conservative or More, I mean, they do call it a dictatorship, but it's not like an abusive one. So it's very
They
much,
call it a benevolent dictatorship.
he is.
It's like
He is.
it's like
Everything
he's like Lee Kuan Yew from Singapore.
Yeah.
He really is. He modeled after Lee Kuan Yew. But when I read about him, because I'm reading a book on him, like he's to me more fascinating than Lee Kuan Yew. Even though he looked up to him, Lee Kuan Yew started out with way more than he did when he took over Singapore. I mean, Singapore was not, like I say, it wasn't a war zone. It was a shithole. I mean, you know, they had the different factions, but half the country that didn't kill each other. But when he started off, I mean, he has something to work with. With respect to their government, they are technically a constitutional democracy. They have a they had a prime minister. He fired him. After a while, because when Paul Kagame first went into government, he went in as the vice president, not the president. So in order to reconcile the country, they had a Hutu become president, but he was like, you know, not really, he didn't share the RPF's goal with respect to developing the country. He was sort of like a belly politician driven. So was the prime minister. There was a story about how, because Paul Kagame always ran the country, even as the vice president. There was a story about how the prime minister called and asked, can he get $1 million to buy a Mercedes-Benz from Europe? And he was like, no, you can't. Like, what do you need $1 million Benz for? Is that going to help you become a better minister? This, that, and the third. So starting off, he, like, you know, had a lot to work with. But today, for the most part, it is a constitutional democracy. Like I said, they have what's to say? They call it a parliament or something? It's not really a parliament. They have a body of Congress. Yeah. They have a body of Congress. Of course, the president is, all intents and purposes, very popular because, you know, of what he's done and what he's taken the country. So it's not like the United States where you have, after 8 years, you have to switch, you know, to a new guy, you know, and then pretend everything's all hunky-dory, you know.
And
like I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I wasn't finished last one. With them, government actually works for the people. And the people understand that. They, like, you know, they're not trying to play this, like, you know, dress up politics like the United States does, where the idea of government is more important than the actual government being effective. I always said this, and I said this before with some Facebook guy who was talking crap on Facebook, talking crap about Paul Kagame. I say a benevolent dictatorship is way better than a corrupt democracy any day, and that's kind of what they have. And that's, you know, I'd rather live under that than something that is corrupt and not working. So.
And to go off on that too, like what I noticed there, and the people said this, and which is why they prefer him, and they said they will do whatever they can to keep voting and keeping him in power, because he keeps their politicians and all of that, any level of corruption, he keeps that in check.
Yes, he does. And it was ironically, because when I first heard about Rwanda, someone posted on Facebook an article about them. The World Bank voted them the second most improved country in the world, behind Croatia. Ironically, the very same year Croatia had a civil war and whatever. But it was also voted the least corrupt country in Africa. That's why, you know, that country has become front and center on the BAIO's list of places to go in Africa, because in Rwanda, if you buy like land or invest in a business there, your business is going to be protected by the government. Like, or any contracts you sign, the law is enforced to protect you as an investor. And that's what's like absolutely amazing. Like, you know, it's not like in Ghana where you have where you go and you think you bought land and you got to make sure the land is yours. So some, you know, regional king or chief says, no, this is actually my land, and you're out of like lots of money. It's not the case in Rwanda where it's like,
no.
Right.
So Complex Sin just brought up an interesting question. He said, behind the scenes to bring up, well, what he did behind the scenes to bring Rwanda, because I know with all the corruption, there had to be some house cleaning. So where that happened was, and you know, this was brought to my attention too, was the genocide. So the people understand that. They're like, you know, as horrible as the genocide was, it was it gave us a fresh starting zone for someone to come in and make sure shit don't turn left again. You know, so it's like someone to come in and take it from there and just say, okay, we're not getting back into this corrupt BS. We're not, you know, messing around and, you know, doing all of this for the, you know, just to take from the people. which that obviously could have happened. You know, the world said when the genocide happened, it was going to be a failed state.
Yep.
And he was determined not to let that happen. So it was that genocide was the ultimate sacrifice to get it where it was today, where it is today. So it's all those people basically wiping out the country completely and starting from below zero was what they needed to bring where they at. And the people there recognize that. They realize that. So they're like, look at our neighbors, because you go right next door, a 1 hour flight to Uganda. I went there and I wanted to get right back on the plane. I was like, take me back. Take me back. Like, and it was just like, it's just so opposite. And you're just thinking, you're like, this is only an hour flight. How is it so different? And when I say so different, like, it's something as simple as like what he doesn't allow in Rwanda. There's no such thing as beggars. People are not allowed to beg. Like, you are getting arrested with the quickness. There's not people like homeless people on the street begging for help, begging for money. You don't have any of that. None of that.
Because the government builds houses for them.
They build houses for them.
Yeah, that was my next question. So what are they doing for like the, I guess the low, I ain't gonna say low poverty. So like the people low income.
Poor people.
The poor people. Okay,
yeah, so the low income, because I was reading in an article that said that they was building like low income houses for those, and they was getting rid of those old, shacks and stuff like.
So
can you expound on that a little bit?
Yeah, they're revamping all that. I actually did see some of them, and I got a good video of one of them, which I really got to post. I apologize. There's 30 provinces. In every province, he's basically doing the low income, like redoing all their houses, where they're just rebuilding the homes to make them like they're all like monotone. They all look the same, but they have all the basics of what people need.
Cookie, that's all you need.
Yeah, they're very cookie cutter, but it's a roof and everything. And then this is paid for. Some of them are billed by the prisoners, because in every province, I don't want to say every province, a lot of the provinces, they still have the prisoners. They are people who took part in the genocide. They're responsible for building this, but it's funded basically through the government through another program, just like a rehabilitation program and stuff. So so he is definitely doing that. But so I'm like, you can't, like, you could say what you want about him and his government and say all this shit, but he's doing it for the people. And like they even said that there's a running joke. There was like, to be honest, the way it works with the politicians here, even the police. It was like they don't typically last so long in office because, you might be tempted to do some corrupt stuff. And the way they explained it to me is because people coming in doing these business deals where they're like getting $1 million loans or dropping $1 million deals just to build whatever business. And, this person in office, this minister or whatever, is approving this, and he doesn't get money like that. Their paycheck is not like really heavy. Or like really, the government pay, they're not getting like a lot of money. They're just getting the standard paycheck. So they attempted to do some backroom, deals, some underhanded shit to get extra dollars. If it's found out, like immediately they're going to jail. Yep. So the penalty is strict for it. Like he will put his politicians in jail with the war criminals. So it's like, well, damn.
That's how it should be.
Yeah, so it's not even fine. So even the police get scared to be bribing people to get out of tickets. They're like, nah, because you could just accuse a police officer and that's it. Like you go into court, all kinds of shit. It's just like, okay, never mind.
But I'm going to ask two questions regarding this. One, what is Rwanda's plans for what happened? Because Paul Kagame's obviously not going to live forever. What are his plans for having a successful successor? And two, why is it that the Chinese don't do in Rwanda what they do in Uganda in terms of just like, running the yard and getting away with everything?
So that is not happening over there. That man does not play. So now in terms of his successor, that part I really don't know. And that's an interesting question. I'll have to ask about that with the friends I made there. I'll have to ask them about that, but I don't really know. I mean, the people, they're basically like, we're holding on to this man as long as he can stay here. So I don't really know what the plan is for that, but what it looks like is like he's trying to turn it into moving towards a republic. Where it's like basically put the power with the people and everything. So in terms of how the Chinese, and not only the Chinese, other foreign investors can't just come in and do shit and get away with everything. The laws are pretty strict against that. The laws are very open to come in, open business and, do business and do what you want, but you're not going to get away with not paying taxes. You're not getting away with holding a 100-year lease and, only hiring your people to maintain it. That's never going to be a deal. So he's not having that. Like the Chinese, the road that we use to drive throughout the country, it was built by the Chinese. I was told that they was like, yeah, the Chinese built this, but you notice you don't see them all around that much. He's like, yeah, because the president is not allowing them to, build this and then maintain it with their own people for 100 or plus years, or do all this extra stuff. So it was like they don't have like the freedom to just run wild like they do in Uganda. Yeah. When I went to Uganda, I saw way more white people, way more Chinese, way more other races there other than black. Just in Uganda, and they were running shit, walking around like royalty. So that was not the case in Rwanda at all. The ones who were there were actually very humble. I guess they realized, no, you can't come here doing that.
Another question I want to ask, and I'll let other brothers chime in. There was a situation in Uganda with Bobby Wine,
right?
And him, sort of deposing the current president, who's a total scumbag. My question is, what impact is Rwanda's success having on the region in terms of people? Because people from Uganda go to Rwanda regularly, Burundi, the Congo, and they're seeing this African nation build itself, and obviously things are way better there than in their home. Are they making the connection? Is it starting to click that we need to do this here?
Yes, I went to Uganda and they were just saying, "Yo, we just want Paul Kagame. Just let us hold him for a month." Just a month and get this shit together. So they see it for what it is, like especially with the Bobby Wine situation. They're like, their president don't connect with them at all or relate to them at all. And what's interesting is Paul Kagame was at once under Museveni. He worked with him. So, and it's so their dynamic now they're like basically Museveni hates his guts. But they were just saying, kind of like this is what happened when you in power too long. And I think that's what some people are afraid of what's going to happen to Kagame. Because Museveni's been in forever. But there was like the Museveni in the 80s is much different from what he is today. Like he probably won't even recognize what he says. Like, but because back then he was for the people, this, and that. And then with time, it's just like, screw the people, I'm here for myself.
Exactly. And so that's why the Chinese pay him off and they pretty much,
get away with, not paying taxes or, getting away with all kinds of shit.
As long as you bribe it.
And that was another thing, like in Uganda, I don't want to say like it's common to exploit their women, but they do in a way. Like they don't really respect the women all that much. It's just, it was just such a disheartening dynamic because it was opposite in Rwanda. In Rwanda, they were very protective of their women, even though the women outnumber them. They are very, very protective and respectful for them. And the example I gave is I could literally walk the streets at 2 a.m. covered in like with a MacBook, with an iPad, with the latest iPhone, all out and about in my hands, and no one would do anything to me. It is that low in terms of crime and violence, and you're like, no one is doing anything. One, because the laws are very, very strict. Like people will go to jail with the quickness. It's not just pay a fine. Like you can't just pay somebody off. So like any assault towards women is going like you do in jail. When I say like they were saying domestic violence disputes where a man and woman fight, and the women could even say, I started it. I'm sorry. He, trying to vouch for the man, just like, I didn't mean to go that far. He hit me, but, I kind of provoked him. The man is still doing at least 5 months in jail for that,
wow.
Just for that. So I was just like, shit. So, but they said what it was is Paul Kagame, like he's very strict about that. And like, I guess his relationship with his mother, he just wasn't happening, having women be disrespected. on that level. So they teach that from a young age too, to make sure like the men kind of protect the women and take care of them, and they do. They really do. What's up?
So in other words, you were able to do something, like you said, walking with an iPad and all that. So you were able to do something in Kigali that you can't even do in the States.
I can't even do in the States. No.
Wow.
Okay. Just wanted to clarify that.
Not just Kigali, all over the country, she said.
It's all over the country. And that's true. It's all over the country. Like the guys weren't vultures. Like you could wear what you want. They weren't like, attacking you or doing catcalls. It's considered to be rude and disrespectful. Like they really do respect their women. So, but I was able to walk around at night, like just doing me. And I was actually in what they're considered their slums, although it was a very nice slums. And so people are out late, but it was just like, oh yeah, this is
wow.
This is nothing.
Were you treated any differently? Like what was the vibe you got from the people, the locals that were there?
Oh no, it was pretty much like, I think I probably just treat a little bit. No, I wouldn't say treated differently. Not until I spoke, because then they see I wasn't native. In the beginning, it was nothing. But I think it was more so my hair. The locks though they were in a lot of different natural hairstyle. Locks is not the most common. But when I went into the provinces, it is. It's very common. So I think that kind of stood out and drew attention. Because the girls are more a lot into the most recent fashions, and they're up to date with what's going on in the U.S. too. So. But like I just kind of look into just all natural and shit. So I think that stood out. But then but other than that, for the most part, it's not like it stood out where I was being stared at like obscenely. That wasn't the case at all.
Wow.
So Belle, you telling me that you didn't go to like a nightclub or whatever? And
I went to a couple of clubs. It was nice.
Oh well, yeah. So you wasn't walking in there and you was walking with a dude and somebody else from behind you was holding your hand, talking about, I don't care about who you with, right?
No. It wasn't
right, exactly.
No. You could walk in as a woman by yourself, wearing whatever you want, and like no one's going to touch you.
I like that.
For all the sisters in the BAIO listening to this, I want y'all to specifically hear that, and the same thing for all the brothers too, because. What I wanted to make perfectly clear for anybody in the BAIO or anyone listening to this, like when you go to Rwanda, even though you hear about the female-male dynamic, don't think you're going to go over there and do the shit you do when you go to Dominican Republic or something. If you're a Negro who likes to go to Dominican Republic, keep going to the damn Dominican Republic. You ain't going to go over there and do that nonsense.
Or Brazil, right?
Or Brazil, or that crap. It's like,
no, one of the things they're gonna side eye you for real, and then they're probably gonna want to fight you. Like, what are you doing disrespecting these women?
Exactly,
no.
You're gonna get your ass whooped, and that's the way it should be. Because, I mean, and I love the fact that people in Uganda and the region are taking notice, because the fact that one, Rwanda is such a young population, two, it's an emerging population, and three, with respect to all other East African nations, they have pretty young populations too. And one thing young people do notice is how other young people are living and acting. So, and it goes back to what I was saying about the Bobby Wine situation. You got young Ugandans looking at Rwanda and like, you know what, we want this. And the good thing about this is that it's creating a sense of dissatisfaction and tension within countries like Uganda amongst the young people, saying like, we're tired of this disrespectful shit that we're allowing to happen by other nations, and particularly the Chinese and stuff. We want this.
Oh, just to segue into what you were just saying. So Belle, can you talk about meeting up with our brother Derek from Uganda?
Oh yeah.
That's my boy right there. Yes. Belle was all over the place. Yeah.
Derek was cool, and that was like a last minute decision, because he's like, oh shit, you coming to Rwanda? I'm just next door. You gotta come through. He wants to start doing touring and everything. So I was like, okay, you can practice doing tour guiding and stuff on me for 2 days, because I only have 2 days. I have to fly back to catch my flight. So I went to Uganda, met up with him, and it was just he's a sweetheart. Oh my God, he's so adorable. And he's really excited about like BAIO and energy, and he's just all about Black Americans. Please come and help us.
But wait, Belle, I'm confused. I'm so confused, because I thought the BAIO was not on the continent.
Oh, not true at all. No.
Oh, wow. Wow,
No,
shocking.
I met some friends who were openly talking about it, like, yo, this is what this group about, this is what we need. And that's what's funny. Like, I would say over there in Rwanda and in Uganda, they don't understand this whole, like, they don't understand the whole movement of ADOS. They don't understand, like
I don't understand it.
all these
Me
reasons
either.
to say. And to them, it's very black and white and very simple. They're just like, listen, all we know is y'all Black Americans over there getting shot and killed, and for some reason you won't leave. They was like, you're getting disrespected.
I know the reason.
And you won't leave. There was like, I'm telling you, here is like, you will be welcomed with open arms, and they were like.
And I noticed that from you because I was looking at your photos, right? And sorry to cut you off. And like when you get to the country, you're like I can see your jet lag. As in the middle of the tour, you're like you're smiling, you're gleaming. But as as the photos come towards the end, it's like you're getting a little bit more gloomy. It's like so you get that look like shit, I gotta go back.
I know. I wanted to cry, but they were they really do welcome you with open arms. Like what I meant to say before, like the hotel I picked, it was different from what we selected. But immediately when I stepped out the airport, there was this gorgeous girl. Her name was Raisa Nadej. She had my name, and she was waiting for me at the airport.
And she was beautiful too.
She was beautiful.
Oh my gosh.
She welcomed me. She was more surprised. She's like, "Wait, you're by yourself?" I'm like, "Yeah, I am." And she's like, "You know what? Welcome home anyway." And stuff.
Oh my goodness!
Wow, that's what's up.
Yes,
I'm telling you.
It's very well. Like when I told them, like, this is my first time on the African continent, everyone's just like, welcome home, welcome home, welcome home.
Wow.
Come here.
I'm mad Matt Ali is like muted right now because we don't think we're ever gonna get him back. Like we were talking about before, we was joking like if Colin ever gets to the continent, he's gonna be an illegal immigrant.
No, let me tell you, they say like
they're gonna be building a wall, right?
Exactly.
Go ahead.
No, because I want to discuss something else. It's like, because we talking about African Americans visiting. I just did a research. Black Americans last year spent $63 billion in traveling. Rwanda's GDP is only $9 billion. So if we were to take 10%, like say 10% of African American travelers were to go to Rwanda, we'd boost their GDP by 70%. Just on those numbers alone. So I'm very glad that brothers and sisters in the continent are tuned into African Americans more than we are, because they see what we can do if we just move some. Like we are asleep, and we could do that amount of stuff.
Neo.
And I'm glad. Yeah, what's up, brother?
Did you hear what I said on the conference call? We can literally, if we had some type of infrastructure to pool our resources together, we could pick an African country and just bail them out.
Yes, we could buy Uganda's debt with China, but just buy it and force the country.
It's pennies on the dollar. It's like, what is it? Anywhere between 5 to 10 billion. That's nothing.
Yeah. I mean, Jamaica owes China more debt than Uganda does.
One second. I want to get this question in for GSH Everything. He's asking Belle, does she know anything about the ghost city in Rwanda?
Oh, ghost city? You mean Vision City?
Okay,
I think so. I'm not sure.
Yeah. What's that?
Elaborate. There's Vision City. So Vision City, and this is because Carol is bringing it up. Vision City is like one of their new suburbs, so to speak. It's within Kigali. And it's kind of like it's supposed to be this upscale area, really, really nice, expensive homes. So the situation with that is, it's like I saw that area is basically isolated. The reason why is it's too damn expensive for Rwandans to live in. So they're changing that. What ended up happening is their social security board, so to speak, or their pension board, what they call it over there, Ministry of Pension, or, basically Social Security. Because Rwanda itself is still considered a third world country, the survival, documented survival rate is basically not really over 65. People are still dying younger than 65 because, they're still kind of getting up there. They're still improving. So basically after 65, no one collects the check. So the Social Security board basically has a shit ton of money because they never pay out. or rarely
Yeah.
pay out. So they reinvested that into building like high-end communities for foreign investors, for people to come in and live there. But it's so expensive. Like they're charging like Upper East Side prices, some shit that's ridiculous. So like millions of dollars. So then, you know, basically the president stepped in and was like, no, you can't do that. Like you can't, like we're not building a community for foreigners to just come and live and separate themselves from the rest of us. Either they're gonna live amongst us and follow the same rules and do all of this. Like we ain't doing that shit, basically. So what they're doing now is revamping it and at least making it reducing the price of Vision City, so at least civil servants can live there as well.
So Belle, out of all of that in the country, who controls the infrastructure?
Oh, the black people do for sure. The Rwandans.
Okay, yeah. So
the Rwandans control
just
it.
to get
100%.
just to get that point across.
It also proves that the white man is not Thanos.
Exactly.
He didn't come in to destroy it. Belle is Thanos, of course, but I mean,
exactly.
Thanos did visit Rwanda, but she didn't step a finger.
The white people there, like I said before, they were very humble. They weren't trying to. They were. You could tell they were not trying to step on any toes, not trying to piss off the wrong person.
Unlike in Uganda, where they could call you the N-word and just go buck wild in a hotel lobby.
Yeah, no, oh my God! If that some shit like that to happen in Rwanda, you know what happened to that white person? Like they will.
They would go missing. They would go missing. I'm like, people be asking me, "What have you seen Tom?" I'm like, "Who's Tom?"
like I did see some areas, like when I went to the south, or when I went to the east at the west, where Gisenyi is, like Kivu, which is closer to the border of the Congo. You can see the dynamic is a little bit different. Like when I stayed at the hotel, like there were some. What was interesting is like everyone's staying at this hotel. It's a mix of like white travelers and other black businessmen and all this stuff. And you can see where the wait staff was kind of doing, like really kind of waiting on the white people. But what's funny was the other black patrons there they did not hesitate to call them out on that shit. Like they're like, no, like you're gonna get out of that habit. I'm sitting here too, and stuff. Yeah. So, but you can tell like that staff, they weren't. You can tell they're very used to like the villages and used to, you know, white people coming in to save the day and all that shit. So they still kind of have that mindset because they themselves are still the help. But like, wait
till black Americans go over there. They're gonna learn.
Yeah. Now, and I'm gonna tell you honestly, they want us to come there. They want Black America, like they are dying to have more Black Americans come visit. And for the life, they're like, we don't know why you don't visit, and we want more of you to come here. There's like everyone else is coming here, all these Europeans, all these, you know, Asians coming to visit. Y'all need to come up in here. This is your place too.
So
like,
Belle,
you are more than happy.
To segue into another question that was asked, China's there too, so we shouldn't go. So my question is to you is, I know we talked about it on the conference call, but what impact does China, or how much of influence does China have in that country, and what are they actually Rwanda, and what are they actually paying?
What do you mean paying?
Like far as taxes and stuff. Like, yeah, you know, everybody think that like China is taking over Rwanda or Africa itself. Like, I know you talked about it earlier, but just go ahead and talk about that.
From what I've seen, I've seen a few. To be like, I didn't actually see that many Chinese. I was surprised. I really didn't see that many Chinese. There was 2 Chinese casinos, and that's usually for the other Chinese who come. That's like a place where they all hang out, I guess. So I saw those 2 businesses, and then there was in their industrialization park where they have all the industries and all the big businesses and stuff. Right. There's probably like anywhere up to like 20 different businesses there, and out of those 20, probably maybe about 5 of them were Chinese, were Asian based, but it's like they're required to follow the same rules as everyone else.
So with all of the foreigners that come there, where does all the money go as far as tax?
Oh, the money goes right back to Rwanda.
Say that again.
So it goes right back to Rwanda. Okay. You cannot take it, send it. go tax-free and send it back to wherever they're from.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Let's
I knew you was
hold
coming, bro. I knew you was coming.
hold the court. Wait a minute. You mean to tell me? You mean to tell me that the mere presence of Chinese in Rwanda doesn't mean that the Chinese have taken Rwanda over? Is that what you're saying?
Listen, you barely see any Chinese when you get there because they go to Uganda because they could get more out of it.
Wow. I'm shocked.
In Uganda.
Now, Belle, I have a question.
I've been kind of quiet. Can I have a little rant?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sure, yes, you can.
Ahead,
we live for these rants.
Just a
These
little.
rants.
I knew it was coming.
This is
I've
like The
gotten
Rock
to the
when he
point.
shows up in the WWE thing.
I've gotten to the point where, like, I've been thinking, ever since that debate, well, if you want to call it that debate that I had on Dinah's show.
It wasn't a debate.
And just hearing all of these ADOS idiots.
Oh, that.
One of the things that I've come to this conclusion, and this is the conclusion that I've come to. These people are cowards. Straight up. I was talking with my brother today, and we were just talking about how there's no real, there's very few black men in America. It really is. It's a lot of males, but it ain't a lot of black men. That's the reason why I really love y'all brothers, man, because if not for y'all, I would probably lose my goddamn mind. Oh, somebody got to mute. Somebody got to mute their thing.
Who's that? Ali?
Yeah.
Odos? No, Odos? Is that Odos?
Yeah.
Oh, what you watching, man? Go ahead. Hold up.
Good.
Oh wait, hold on. He's getting feedback. Okay, I muted him. Yeah. We're sitting up here begging white folks to help us. And you got a country that was like Belle said, that was reduced to practically nothing, less than zero, and were able to build themselves up over a 20-year span. And we're still having a fucking conversation about whether we need nationhood. This is something that's on the docket. We actually having a conversation about this.
I think the conversation's long been over. They lost at this point.
We are the men. Are there any black men that want to actually control? Like, I ask people, do you want to, you're telling me that the white man is the devil, but you want the devil in control of your water supply. You want the devil in control of your food supply. You want the devil to control your roads and your highways. You want the devil to control your gas and your electric. You want him to control every aspect of your reality, but he's the devil?
Brother,
do you really believe that? Do you really believe that?
You know they don't, but I'm going to answer your question. You know what the black men are? They're in the BAIO.
Thank you.
Simple. That's where they are.
And that's what I was getting to. If you are really about, because my thing is this, like, people ask me to debate people, and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you a little spoiler of how the debate's going to go with anybody that I debate. The first thing that I want to know off the bat is, do you believe in land, infrastructure, and nationhood? Do you believe that our people, that's the solution to our people's collective problem here in America? We're going to start right there. If you don't believe that, the debate is over. I've already smashed you.
Yep.
The rest is just cherries and whipped cream on top of the ass whooping.
Exactly.
But you've already lost. Because my thing is, if you don't believe that that's the solution, then what is the solution? Because I read the black agenda for the ADOS on the ADOS website.
And it's begging white people for reparations.
Basically, it's just an elaborate begging for white people. We don't have the ability to do. How is it that Rwandans had the ability to build back their nation and their country, but we don't?
Not only that, they do so much more with so little.
Exactly.
Rwanda has a GDP of $9 billion. So that means, like, no nation taxes its people 100%. They ain't liable. But we do assume that the Rwandan government is working with less than $1 billion a year. And they just sent a satellite up in the air to link their nation.
Can you repeat that again? Because I really want people to comprehend what he just said. He said their GDP is $9 billion.
With a B, $9 billion. They make less money than Jeff Bezos does. But they were able to send a
Jesus.
satellite in the air. They can build housing for the poor. They just educated their first female neurosurgeon in their country. Meanwhile, you have...
What? I want to bring something up about that. So
Go ahead, Belle.
when it comes to education, here's what's interesting. Something else we've always talked about that Paul Kagame is also doing. Because that female neurosurgeon, because I was like, oh man, I gotta meet her. I didn't get a chance to, but that's still a plan of mine. Anyway, he's allowing, people can go overseas to get education, and he's pushing the most popular fields. So if it's IT, for sure, you want to go to the US and get your degree in IT, fine, but he is making incentives to bring them back.
Yes.
If you are coming back, when you come back, these are all the things you're going to have. And the Rwandans, they know, like they say straight up, we love our country. We don't want to leave it. Every time they leave, they just like, nope, we come right back. Because it's like they're doing their thing compared to everyone else, even the US. So he's pushing that, like they can go overseas for education, but he's bringing them right back to help build and keep it sustained.
And that's why, and I want to segue on that, because you said they want African Americans over there badly.
Yes,
because
and
they know we have those skills.
Yes, they even said that.
And what's going to be the turning point is, honestly, when we go over there and we start broadcasting, like what we do with this show, is showing Black people in America what it is like in Rwanda. And we do a serious compare and contrast of Rwanda versus the United States. And once Black folks start getting hip to this, because what really, made my day was when Holip sent me a link to Travel Noir, and that the first of their list of their article, you tell me, like, if you want to visit Wakanda, these are the 5 places you should visit, and it's most likely. Top of the list was Kigali, Rwanda. And the fact, and we mentioned that Black Panther movie, with respect to getting Black Americans interested in the continent. I'm pretty sure, because the Rwandan people are not stupid by any stretch of the imagination. They are attuned to what's going on, especially with Black Americans. And the fact that, we are sought after in the way that it really touches us. But another benefit is, like when you mentioned that, the Chinese avoid Rwanda for the fact they have no interest in patronizing their profits. What they understand about Black Americans that we've been shitted on such a degree in America, we would be happy to patriate our profits and pay tax into a government that looks out after us, because we have never had that shit. So
can I give y'all a little fun fact?
What's up?
You know where Wakanda is on the map in Africa within the Marvel universe?
Well, it's like Rwanda, Congo border.
Right next to Rwanda. As a matter of fact, T'Challa and Storm, there's an issue with them doing outreach with Rwanda in the comic books.
Wow.
So that's where they are in relationship to it. That's just a fun fact.
That is awesome. You did get that, but what I'm so excited about, and I want to use the last a few minutes of this to talk about the November trip.
Yeah, we got to decide on dates.
Yeah, because I'm thinking, because I'm free from the 10th to the 24th of November. That's when I'm going to be in the country.
And I'll bring up some prices, because I tried to make sure to go over that while I was there.
So for everyone listening, the BAIO is planning a group trip to Rwanda. We're not just talking to just, hear ourselves talk. We're actually going to go to the country. And we're going to do some extraordinarily documenting of everything. It's like everything from business opportunities to the nightlife. I want to ask you about the nightlife. Did you get any, did any of the clubs play house music? Because I'm a house hand.
No. It wasn't.
Hey, you're not by yourself, bro.
It wasn't. It was. I would say some of the music was a little outdated, because at some point somebody was playing Ja Rule, which I was just like, what?
I can live with that. I'd rather listen to the traditional music anyway.
So go ahead.
Because we gotta get some because I'm a big I love Black Coffee. He's a South African house DJ, and I would say South Africa. Because I love Afro Deep House, and let me tell you, that is some of the most. That music gets you in the mood. I mean, if I gotta bring a portable speaker there and play it in the hotel lobby, not the lobby, but out in the area, it's for the people, and just so they can get into it, because we got young people over there like crazy.
If it's Afro house, then yes. I thought you meant like house music, like that Ukrainian shit.
Oh
that
no,
just-
I'm talking about Afro deep. I'm talking about deep Afro house, like Black
Oh,
Coffee,
deep,
and
yeah,
Napa.
they'll play that. Yes.
Yes, that's what I want to bring there. But another thing I wanted to ask you in terms of about your trip, because we touched on it, because I mentioned it, but the photos, how you were getting more miserable as you had to come back. How? Yes, and it's such a cliche question. How has this trip sort of changed your life in a sense that has your work ethic, or have you started thinking things really differently? Because there's a documentary on YouTube about African Americans moving to Rwanda. Because we're not the first to have this discussion. So how has it changed you? I'm like, have you given serious thought? Like, I got to get back. This is a place where I want to live.
So like, I'm happy you brought that up because I'm still like making plans now. Over there, they were so encouraging. If you doing business, anything to like come in, like you coming up and that could help their economy, they're like, okay, whatever you need to do to get registered, get licensed here, do it. Let's just do it. Like they already started the process for me so much. They made it so easy for me. They literally told me I could do it online and email it to them. Like just email all your shit and pay just the standard fee, through, online, and then that's it. Like you're registered. So when I go back in November with you guys, I'm actually staying for a long time. I'm staying for like at least 6 weeks.
Nice.
Holy shit!
I'm jealous.
It's so much fun.
Hold up. Can I get on your plan? Shit.
I'm going for a long ass time.
Wow. You know what? You know what's funny, Belle? Remember when we went to dinner when you came? That's exactly what I said you would do.
Yeah.
Yep. And I know Brother Ali is like, he's muted, but he's probably going to do the same old thing when he goes up because
like, when I'm telling you, when you go, you don't want to leave. The people are just so welcoming. Like they want you to stay too. So it makes it really hard. And then just seeing this Black nation functioning, they offering dual citizenship that we've been talking about. As long as
everybody's talking about Ghana. Like why are people talking about Ghana?
Like this is the place to be. Like it's so lively. Like everyone is very open and loving and just like, oh, this is what's going on. There's parties all the time, but they're actually very responsible. There's very little drunk driving going on. Although people do get drunk, they have a bunch of coconut and pineapple gin because I
gotta try that.
I hate it and love it. It was delicious.
Oh man,
they had tons of it.
But that's one of the things I want to do because my brother, he's not gonna make it because he has to work. But you know what? Because I do want to bring a portable speaker. I know, but I do want to bring a portable speaker, and I want to introduce these folks to Deep Afro House. They got to experience that. And knowing Rwanda, the youth are going to take that shit and blow it up. I can't wait. They have clubs playing that because, like, when I went to Costa Rica, there's a group called Mi Casa Holiday. They did it, and they just do house music, like deep house, everything. I was talking about deep house, soulful house, not the stuff like you're talking about in Ukraine, not that shit. But, I know South Africa, they're big with it, but I would love to see it in Rwanda because Rwanda is such a dynamic nation, especially for young people. And that's one thing I love about Paul Kagame. Paul Kagame, you can tell he's a leader who loves young people. Like, he is like everything he does is for you. Every time you see him, he's taking pictures with children. Like the satellite was launched to link children to the internet in schools.
Are you guys subscribe to his? Because he's on Twitter and he's on YouTube.
You already late, dude.
I'm
already on his shit, dude.
Okay, so yo, because I get all his updates. Like whenever he puts a video out, I see it.
Yeah, man.
And this is what, like, you probably guys, I'm sure you guys seen some of those campaigns where they kind of like walking for health and everything. You think it's just like whatever temporary campaign. They do this every week. Every Sunday, everybody goes out and exercise. I am not lying.
Belle. Belle.
And
what's up?
People are asking about the dual citizenship in the group.
Yes, they do offer dual citizenship. You can get it. You don't have to get married. You don't have to wait 10 years to be there. No, as long you can get citizenship within, I was told, within as short as 6 months.
Wow.
As long as you are there, if you're any African descent, they make it really easy. Like you really don't have to wait long. Any African.
You hear that, you ADOS assholes? ADOS assholes? You hear that? Shit. I mean, oh, come on. But I'm just floored by this because, like, since hearing about, I've been going in on my Forex trading like crazy because I'm just trying to, like, create a source of income where I'm getting the fuck up. I quit my job and just come. I'm like, my goal is to move to Rwanda. I know we're like the BAIO. We said we're going to build our own nation state, but we will understand if you wanted to stop at third base and say, you know, I'm a settler in Rwanda, we're not going to hold that against you.
I mean, you know, it's not
I'm going to make a prediction. I'm going to make a bold prediction. I personally think Belle and Ali are going to be in Rwanda.
Yo, hold on. Hey, you know what? Those two right there is the most, like, energetic that I ain't gonna say the most, but shit, like, they are leading the way, yo.
Yeah, especially Ali. Remember, I can recall that we almost had to talk Ali off the bridge at one time. He got so pissed.
Yeah, Ali be like,
I'm like, brother, it's not all.
You know,
it's not over.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, you know, I feel that I need to go over here and I need to capture this right here.
And I'm gonna tell you this is the God's honest truth. We are so blessed to have Belle, man. I think about that every day. Like how fortunate we are to have run across her.
Yep.
Thanks, fellas. No,
oh my gosh,
we love you.
That's an understatement right there.
I mean, because Belle, I remember you was doing like a while ago shows with the sisters, and I would love for you to do a show with the sisters solely about this Rwanda trip, because just to hear their perspective on it. I know when sisters get energized about something, it's over. They energize, and you have to assure them that there are men in Rwanda for them. It's not, you know, it's not just women there for them, because you prove to your pictures there are a lot of men.
And that's so interesting, because I have to like tell the ladies something which I discovered about. Well, I didn't personally discover it through experience, but it was explained to me about like East African traditional culture in general. But apparently, it is tradition to please the women in the bedroom.
Okay. See, there you go.
There you go. See, hey,
I'm not gonna say how. It was
hold up, but you letting the men know that, hey.
I thought there was a tradition over here. What's going on?
With that FYI for all BAIO brothers thinking you're going over there, you better hit the gym, get your A game up, because don't embarrass us. Please,
you gotta have 4-pack, at least a 4-pack.
Well, I mean, basically, if you know, there's tons of women out there. So basically, if you guys hook up with the woman there for whatever, you know, because there's tons, they're gonna have some serious expectations. And it's not, so you got to meet those expectations. And it has, I know it sounds like, you know, oh, okay, I might be coming to one size. It's actually not that.
No.
But I'm like, God, I can't even.
You gotta use other parts of your body.
But it's like a whole East African tradition to do, you know, like to completely sexually satisfy their woman. So I was just like, oh my God, that's tradition. It's like, yes.
I thought it was a tradition in Brooklyn. What's going on?
Well, you know, with toxic masculinity in the United States, you know, dudes are just running off. But you know, but as an aside, more serious note, I mean,
nothing wrong with a little toxic masculinity in the bedroom, you know?
Oh hell no! I mean, that's what it's there for. I mean, that's what we're wired for.
Okay.
But.
I shouldn't have said that. Oh my God. When they told me about this, I was like, what the hell? Like, are you serious? I didn't drop my coffee. Like, but no. It's like, that's the place to go. Seriously. It's everything I'm saying is just words. I really want people to just do. So,
okay.
I hear Mike scrambling. That must be Ali.
No, that's me. That's me.
Oh, okay.
My shit dropped out of my ear.
All right, so we got like about 14 minutes. I want to ask you about something which is really important.
What's
investing in real estate in Rwanda, because, like you said, I mean, we want to make sure they know we are going to try to open the floodgates in terms of bringing African Americans here, especially if we could. One thing about Black Americans that we understand is that Black Americans go by what we see. You know, if we see other Black Americans doing something and it works out well, the rest will follow. So we understand that. In terms of getting more of us there, but in terms of investing in like things like real estate, buying properties, because I discussed with Holip before, if we could get people together, just like do it's a simple bed and breakfast maybe.
Oh yeah.
How
Oh yeah.
feasible is it?
Ooh, I'm glad you said that.
You
Yeah.
would do well.
I have
So
a feeling that when we go to Rwanda in November, a lot of these questions are going to be answered.
Yes.
but no, I can hit up on some of that.
Knock yourself out, Belle.
It's hold on, let me just type this right now.
Because in the segue what she said about the food, because in the conference call they said they put mayonnaise with everything. Well,
Yes,
that's explained by the fact that, yeah, but that's explained by the fact that a lot of white Americans visit. So you know they smart. They cater to their market.
What I was told is because the Rwandans are actually very thin because they're always walking up and down hills. They're always trying to gain weight, so that's why there's mayonnaise with everything. They're like,
so Belle, so like those pictures that they showed on the Rwanda, because me and you like actually started commenting on the same post,
right.
And I was like, damn, Belle is like on this shit. That's when you got the
That's where I got the tour guide.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So they had the hills and stuff. I was like, shit, who's gonna climb that shit?
Yeah, but Belle, also, but sorry about that, but you was gonna say something about the bed and breakfast. I mentioned real estate.
Business wise, so oh my god, the window of opportunity is amazing. What I would say is, you know, everyone jumps to Kigali first. Kigali itself is a very small city, and there's 1.2 million people there. So it's very, very populated. So traffic doesn't get too bad. I was told like it's not as bad as what you would get if you're in Dar es Salaam of Tanzania, or if you're in Nairobi, or even in Kampala, Uganda. It's not going to be that bad, but it's still pretty hectic. So they're saying what's happening now in Rwanda, what we don't really see, but you see it when you get there, is out of the 30 provinces, Kigali being one of them, his master plan includes making basically building up more cities like Kigali.
Yep.
Because there are a total of 12 million Rwandan citizens. They all want to be in Kigali and be, because it's like the place to be, the business, all that stuff. But obviously 12 million people can't fit in a very small city. So he's trying to make it so where they have other cities to go, and they can do business and populate those. So the second one is kind of just Gisenyi, which is way out west towards the border of the Congo. And there's a lot of Congolese there too. And there's a lot of Congolese in Rwanda naturally. So you really wouldn't tell the difference, to be honest. They all speak the same. They all have the same 3 key languages.
So I mean,
Belle, I'm sorry, Neo. If you can you upload your pictures to the Rwanda chapter in the BAIO Ning site? Because people are asking to see the pictures.
Yeah,
I'll definitely
and please get the rest of your video up there.
I know. I'm sorry.
And I still have
you're
to
better
listen.
than I am. When I go on vacation, I don't film nothing. That's the worst
She
part.
sent me an audio that it's like a long audio, but I haven't had a chance to sit down and listen.
So interesting. It's so interesting. You got to hear it. That's why I was like, I'm so happy I recorded this. It was a conversation between me and our tour guide, and he's basically given all the perspective, like everything from the tribalism to the politics to China and what he's like, to tell the difference between like what's China occupation and what is European occupation. Like he was breaking that down, and I was like, oh shit, this is the ways I'd never really even expected. But he was just very, very intuitive and perceptive, and just given comparisons to the surrounding countries, and basically explaining like, yo, this is why we appreciate this president for what he is and what he's doing. Like people may not like the means of it, but everyone benefits. So they could just they could just shut up, so. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna get those videos out. But like I was saying, the provinces, because they're trying to build and part of the master plan. I posted this video in the BAIO discussions panel like several months back about the master plan, and it looks like it's just Kigali. That is not just Kigali. That's going to be 5 more provinces. He's building like that.
Nice.
So he's like, he has a plan to make 5 more Kigali.
Dude, it's moving.
Oh man, we're gonna have to do a part 2 of this. Because I really want you to talk to the sisters about this. I know one of the sisters in the BAIO is an educator. I think she teaches kindergarten or something like that.
Oh my God.
With education, oh my goodness, your ticket is written for you over there.
Yep.
If you're an educator, you got it made.
Go for it. Like, they want everybody and everything. As long as you're there to do business and going to help their economy, shit, you get citizenship within 6 months. They not.
Let me just clarify something, because I know this is good. Like, you know, Negroes love twisting shit. This is not. We're not looking at Rwanda, the nation state.
No. No.
Okay, so we're not going to BAIO. No, BAIO is not going to Rwanda and establishing a nation state. So let me get that out of the way, because I know that's going to be a stupid ass talking point.
You got to do a remix, bro. Say it again from the top.
BAIO is not going to Rwanda to establish a nation state.
Woo.
If anything, this is just diplomatic relations right here.
It's just a learning, kind of platform.
Exactly, and just to get some boots on the ground on the continent. I mean, because
we could make a satellite community very easily there. So much so that they want us to do it. Like, so easy.
Oh, it's gonna happen.
It's like it's
gonna happen.
Popular.
It's gonna happen. That part, because like I said, I already know Belle and Ali have the skill set.
Oh my God!
And the will. Ali's already talking to people about going over there and doing. They said, I'm like, you know, we're happy that you made the transition, because y'all get to leave the plantation literally. You know, there's gonna be tears in our eyes as we're waving goodbye to you. But at the same time,
me and Belle was talking, and I think that, you know, Belle would agree. She's done with this place, man.
I'm so done.
But she's done with America.
Let me tell you something. My contract in Alaska is up this August, which is kind of been somewhat of the stress of the past several months and me working like crazy. My contract is up this August. I am not signing any more contracts. I am just going to do temporary kind of like as needed positions for 6 months in the US, and the rest of the 6 months I'm in Nova. I'm like, fuck it. I'm going to at least live there at least half a year till I get there full time, starting 2020. Basically, really started in 2019.
And it's ironic. It's ironic because Paul Kagame's biggest plan was called Vision 2020. So I mean, he established it in the year 2000, and it comes to fruition 2020. So that's.
I will say this, Neo. I will say this. It may not be for the nation state, but for a lot of people who are individually have their shit together, it's a nice transition over to the continent.
Yes, it is.
It is.
Like, it's safe. It's clean. And another thing I want to mention is like that Social Security fund. It's gonna be used because they're much healthier than now, because one, the food is organic, everyone exercises. That's 99% of your physical health right there. So you're gonna see a very high health expectancy, and the country is clean and sanitary. So that's like, you know, and the country is getting more educated, so they're gonna have more medical schools. And you know, it's so crazy. You have African nations like Nigeria, where the people leave, go to the United States, don't come back. Rwanda has the exact opposite problem, where you can't get people to leave the country to go to the United States.
Exactly. That's why I always challenge that freaking everybody talking about, people trying to get over here in America. Ain't no fucking body trying to go to America.
Exactly. He's not from Rwanda.
Even on the plane, it's so funny. On the plane, when I was in Uganda, I had to fly back to Rwanda to fly back to Amsterdam and everything. On the plane, I'm talking to this, sister from Rwanda, and she was saying how she was just in Uganda and I want to say South Sudan, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm going back home." She's like, no, I love my country. She too works in like the medical field. She's like, "I'm not going anywhere. Like, this is where it is." She's like, "I've traveled throughout the continent. No, I'm good with staying."
Honestly, hearing this, I'm tempted to take up a course in like being a medical technician or something, just so I can go over there and be useful.
Like, you can be useful in almost anything there, because they still need people. Like, it's still kind of like people are still in school, still learning it. So whoever want to come up now, and if you got the skill or you know it, or if you want to teach it, the door is
I would
open.
love to be involved in their media.
So because it's so weird. I want to bring my brother, because he does videography and editing and stuff like that. I mean, I wanted him to interact with the younger people, but we could.
And the younger,
you weren't gonna say something?
They're even saying, sorry, I was gonna say the young people there, they're even saying like, yo, African Americans come through over here. Like we could use your skills. Like you could teach us, we could work together, and they're up on their technology game. That's the one thing I got there. I asked for a SIM card. You can go, they have like their phone game is you can just go get a SIM card. Like you can get a SIM card easily now, but I could get like an international SIM card. I get an unlocked phone within seconds, and it's legal. Like
Wow.
I couldn't get my iPhone unlocked here. When I got there, within seconds, for like equivalent of $5 US, they unlocked my phone.
Wow.
And
like I said,
it's not.
This is going to be
I think
game changing.
I wanted to say something.
Go ahead,
No,
bro.
yeah, rocking. I'm good. I'll just chime in after Holip.
Like I said, it's going to be game changing when Black Americans especially see our experiences in Rwanda, and especially because travel noir is usually for young Black people, and that when young Black Americans start going there, it's just a wrap.
Oh my God!
It's gonna rocket fuel the economy. It's gonna rocket fuel the influence. Why do you think it is?
Yo, Neo, I hate to interrupt you, but I think I want Belle to address this. Somebody's coming in the chat room.
Oh gosh!
Do you see this?
Yes, I see it. Oh,
you brought that up. I was waiting for somebody to. So let's get into that. So when I went there and actually looked at the King Scholars Rwandan history, the actual borders of Rwanda, as we know from the Berlin Conference, is not what the borders are. The borders of Rwanda extend into the Congo, extend into Uganda, and somewhat into Tanzania as well. So what's happening is after the genocide, millions of people fled, obviously, because many of them took part in it. They fled to the Congo. There's Rwandans / Congolese who took part in the genocide who fled to the Congo. When Paul Kagame was coming back through with the RPF, he said they did set up a group out there as rebel groups to take care of those rebel groups there. And now because this needed to be done because there's still attacks up until 1997, even as late as 1998, on Rwandans, on Rwandan schools, on Rwandans, neighbors, where people from the Congo were coming in, still kind of trying to kill them, just shoot shit up, do all this extra shit. So he's been keeping the rebel groups under control there. Now, yes, he is taking the resources to pay for his occupation there. This is 101 with the art of war. If you read that book, like you don't use your country resources to pay for the war. Otherwise, the people are going to be pissed because their taxes go up and so on and so forth. So he's taking the resources there to pay for his own people's occupation there to keep the borders safe. The borders are safe. And even the Congolese said this, because they said this to me. They was like, even if he's doing that, it still they're like, we can do business better when our borders are safe. Like, and we want to do business. We can't do the business in our country because our country's a shit show. Everyone's stepping in, taking resources left and right. And so if he's doing business over here and offering us dual citizenship, why not?
Propaganda is a hell of a thing, boy.
So yeah.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
So what I was saying, and us being there will definitely break the propaganda stranglehold for us over here. Because one of the things they don't want, and I say that the conscious community is right about this, is that us to go over there. Because if we go over there, being battle hardened, because we're the only Blacks on the planet who are, cognizant of the idea of race and power.
No, we know they bullshit. That's what it's called.
Yep, and that along that we know they both, but we go over there with our money, our talents, and our our understanding of the world. It's a wrap. Africa is ours.
Exactly.
And they know that their time is short, so that's basically the thing about it. But one last thing I want to ask you, Belle, because I want to touch on this. This is for my amusement. How depressed were you on the last day of the trip? When you had to come home.
I was really depressed. Let me tell you, I was so depressed because it was like a long line to get through the security at the airport because their security is so tight. Like they scan the whole damn car. It goes through the whole car goes through the scanner. Like everyone steps out or your luggage comes out. This is just before we get into the airport or aliens come out. They have people sniff the bags because there's a lot of weed in Rwanda. Just putting that out.
What Maryland? Is it legal then?
I don't think it's like unofficial. Like they know. So basically, like you can't just people do it in Kigali. I could smell it all the time. But no one really gets in trouble. If you do it out in the open, you could. But if you go to the districts and the provinces and the villages, no one's regulating that. They're like,
yeah. So Kala definitely can't go.
I mean, you're not gonna just walk the street and walk into a cloud of smoke and stuff. You're gonna smell it and like, okay, somebody lighten up, whatever. So they do it like openly enough, but not so openly like you're walking through the streets of Amsterdam.
Yeah, they don't do it to a disrespectful degree.
Yeah, no, not to that, not at all. Yeah. So while I was getting to the airport, I had to sit up with the car and scan, and my the people from the hotel were so worried I was going to miss my flight. I told them straight up, I do not mind. Do not rush me. Like I am actually hoping this flight I miss my flight, because just to spend one more day in this country, please, I don't want to get on that plane. And so it was just like I was nearly in tears to the point where they were checking my passport so I could leave. The guy was straight up asking me, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "No, no, I want to leave." And then even said, "They was like, listen, you are always welcome back. You're always welcome back."
I know when I go there, I'm gonna kiss the ground. One, the ground is super clean, so I'm not gonna have a problem. I've always wanted to do that. If I got on African soil, I would kiss the ground. I'm gonna do that. Because I know the ground, one is super clean because it's home, and they say welcome home.
Okay.
I mean, I'm honestly thinking when we get there, it's gonna be one of those situations like in like a Meg Ryan movie where you're just willing to throw it all away and say fuck it, I'm staying. So I mean,
I just want to say this, like, because we're in March now, so I think we really need to nail down this trip.
So yeah, the date you want. So okay, now that you brought that up, for 7 days.
Before you start,
go ahead.
Before you start talking, so you remember me and you and Holip.
Yeah, we're gonna work on.
Yeah, so we're gonna work that out. So just to let everybody know that we are working with a flyer to get everybody involved in it. So it's not like we leaving everybody out. So
no, we're trying to get everyone. So the maximum amount of people who want to go and like doing the tour of the whole country, like I did, the max they can take is 24 people. I'm hoping to get that number. So 24 people for 7 days, it would be roughly $2,000 a person, not including your plane.
That's not bad at all.
And then for
tax return paid for that.
For 7 days. For 10 days, it's $2,400. Just because it requires more resources to maintain for 10 days.
That's easy. That's how much I paid for Costa Rica.
So it's 24 people at 10 days?
At 10 days, it will be $2,400 per person, not including your plane ticket. If for 7 days, it'll be $2,000 per person, not including your plane ticket.
Oh, well, I know it's got to be 10. There's no way you can do 7 days.
Yeah, you want to do 10. I did more than 10. I did 10 officially on the tour, but I hung out for 12 days there. I was there for a good bit, even in between. So next time I'm staying for at least 6 weeks. I'm trying to stay for 2 months, trying to plan that out, but it's not that easy.
And hopefully 2 months to turn into the rest of your life.
Right.
I'm just ready to get a house and settle down.
So it's basically going to be Belle, Dundada, and Kofi working on it, I think.
Yeah, I think I sent Kofi the link too. So like I said, any suggestions on the application as far as the flyer, I just put it out there. So whatever we need to make the adjustments to, it's all good.
Like I said, I'm on vacation the November 10th to the 24th.
Oh,
so
wait,
I just said that.
Sorry, someone had a question. Does it include rooms and transport? Transport it includes. It doesn't include the rooms in Kigali for those prices. It includes the rooms everywhere else that we're going, because you're staying in 2 other different districts and provinces, which are really nice places. But you're spending I think I spent a total of 5 nights in Kigali. But the prices per night, the hotel I stayed at, I paid $68 a night, and it was a really nice hotel.
Oh, 68?
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, it was nothing.
So would you suggest that hotel?
I would suggest it again. The staff is lovely. Everyone.
All right, that's good enough for me.
They'll pick you up at the airport. They'll everything you need.
I want a gym.
How was the gym?
Oh,
Oh,
Ali. Oh, you finally decided to talk, Ali.
it did.
And I'm taking it all. No, no, yeah, I'm
Damn, it
taking
took
it
a
all.
while for you to do that fireplace, bro.
No, I was just listening.
Yeah. It's all good. Go ahead, bro.
So they didn't. The hotel I stayed at did not have a gym. But I'm gonna be honest with you guys. You go outside, it's a workout.
All right, cool.
You're walking up and down hill.
Hey, yo,
I
Belle,
just
did
do
you
it.
get a chance to see the other hotel that we were talking about going to?
It was on another side of town, and I briefly talked about like, oh yeah, I want to go see it, and then I remember the tour guy was like, oh yeah, we can stop and see it, but I completely forgot. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
But yeah, it was on like the other side of town.
So Belle, just let everybody know that we are still trying to weigh the option as far as like the best possible, the best way to rent, you know,
Get
for
like a large space.
yeah, exactly.
everyone.
So $68 is different from $98, and then a lot of people don't have $98. So
Yeah, no, I mean that's how much I paid at that hotel, and they were. I'm sure and it was black owned, so and I'm sure if they knew a group was coming, they would like definitely negotiate. And right now, they love me. I was like hugging them every day. I was
Okay, so they'll love us.
I was making
Now, Belle,
friends there.
now, Belle, I do have a question. How was the internet speed over there? Like the
So
internet
the
access?
internet speed, I would say that was somewhat of an issue. Like it really wasn't that fast. Like during the
I have
day,
no plans to be on the net. I give a
exactly.
damn about
I
internet
can
I
connection.
say that
Well, for
again,
those of
Holip.
us, for those of us who want to day trade, who go into that field, it's kind of important.
Yeah, you better stay in the room, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm gonna do with it.
the internet gets the internet gets really good, I would say after midnight, midnight to 5 a.m. That's when it's like much faster during
Hey,
the day.
Belle, we have a social life. The people that are trying to trade and all that shit, you can stay in the room.
Well, I gotta learn how to trade so I can go and live there. I gotta make money somehow. I gotta live there.
Hey, it's all good. But if the internet is done, yeah.
It's just so much going on there. You are not, because I thought I was gonna be able to do like extra stuff and do this, and no, I was just like, nope. What's the next?
I know
thing?
me personally, that's gonna be a blackout for me. I could give a damn about the internet when I go over there.
I know you all gonna be. I mean, but that's great. In terms of everybody getting there, I'm glad everybody's excited though. So that's the
Yeah.
main
Oh
thing.
yeah.
I mean,
Oh man,
Definitely,
this shit.
worth
This show is great, man. Like I
And
said, Belle is a treasure.
Oh, she's more than a treasure, bro.
When I got there,
Oh my
everyone was
gosh.
like, thanks, guys. They were like, being that this is your first African country, we're so proud that you picked this country. 'Cause
Exactly.
if you went to Nigeria,
tell them
you would hate this
did
country.
you tell them you're coming back with friends?
I did. So they're excited to see you guys. They're just excited. They was like, yes, bring more Black Americans, please. We
Oh,
don't.
trust me, we gonna bring more of them. Trust me, we coming.
So they're excited to it. So, but yes, it's definitely worth it. Definitely something you guys need to see.
Oh wow, I can't wait for it. I definitely can't wait because another thing I'm gonna do and before we got to go is I'm bringing much
Y'all
more
can
cash.
rock. Y'all can rock. I'm gonna just be getting ready while y'all rocking. So
Right,
go ahead,
because
do your thing.
I am because I'm saving up substantial amounts of money because I am dead serious about breakfast thing going because even if it's among BAIO members who are just going there, we'll at least have a means of having a place to stay, sort of base of operations in the country, so to speak. Where we could just like move around from, sort of like a home base kind of thing.
Right.
And only that because
you guys were you interested besides the bed and breakfast? Sorry to cut you off, but to stay there, were you guys interested in like renting a house for a period of time? Because I could get the tour guide to look into that if you were to do that while you were there. But we'll be there for a few days before we head off to like.
I mean,
other
that works for me. Like I said, as long as there's running water, air conditioning, electricity, and a decent enough internet speed, I'm willing to stay there. I mean, I don't need like creature comforts. I don't need a day spa and a masseuse every night. I don't need all that crap.
So in other words, we're gonna leave him there, and then he's gonna do what he's gonna do, right?
No, I mean just like when it's time to go. Because first of all, when we get over there, the only time realistically people are gonna be in their hotel room is when it's time to go to sleep. because you're gonna have the day tour, and of course you're gonna go out at night and see Kigali at night. I can't wait to see that because I want to get good photos of the nightlife there because I see some pictures of Kigali at night, especially when they do the community, like they do like a community jog or run or something like that for health purposes.
Every Sunday, everybody does it. This is not only in Kigali; it's in all the provinces. When we were driving, everyone was out running. So I felt bad. It's like everyone's running. He's like, "Yeah, it's the day everybody works out."
Yep.
So, like
and it was at night too, and it was so safe and it was clean. I'm like, you thought you were looking at a street in Singapore or something like that. It was amazing.
They have this day, at least one day in the month, where there's car-free day, where there's no cars on the road in Kigali or anywhere.
Oh yeah, I read that too.
And and that's where everyone.
So it was a success too, right?
Yep. You can. It's completely car-free, and the only people who could be out on the road is emergency medical personnel, I think, and police.
I would hope so.
Or fire department.
Or fire department, like all emergency services, or if you need to go to the airport to catch a flight, that's it. And you need to have like permission to be out there. If you have to have proof of your flight. So other than that, you shouldn't be out on the road. So they just, and then they have also another day in the month where everybody cleans, including the president.
Yep, cool. I've seen that. Yep.
You know what this all sounds like? This sounds like how white people think of like Switzerland.
Yeah.
This just sounds so cool. And I guess we don't really realize how international we are, man. And just listening to all this, I mean, I think my business can definitely help the infrastructure of Rwanda. So
definitely.
You think?
Bro, when they meet you, they're probably not even gonna let you get on the plane. I mean, when they get back. I mean, we're talking with Belle because she's in the medical field. They probably were like, "You need to stay here with us." I mean,
and it was interesting. When I came back here, my coworkers were like, "You need to go back and work over there like that." You need to be there. I'm like, "Yeah, I will. I will." So,
I mean, I'm surprised like you were able to still laugh and smile being in America. I'll have an attitude. I would be in a piss poor mood. I would be so angry.
Right.
My attitude would be stank as hell. I'm like, I gotta come back to this bullshit.
I hate you niggas. Yeah, you're like, I hate you niggas. You're like, what? What are you talking about?
I just met some real black folks. Get out my face. I mean, but so you're better than me in that department. So, but I'm just excited that you just seriously consider like making the plunge of just like saying, you know what, I'm gonna make this place my home. And you know, one of the things I really wanted to do is juxtapose what life for black people like in America is here versus life over there while we're there. They're just like, you know, I'm gonna go out at night with a camera and just talk to police and just walk by them and just not be fucking harassed. You know, be totally safe, you know, see it clean as hell. Like there was a video, kid you not, a guy was eating a plate of food while sitting in the gutter with his shoes off.
That itself is considered taboo. That's one thing. Don't do when you get there. They do have their times to eat, and it's three meals a day. You don't eat out in public. So it's like, there's not like a hot dog or shish kebab stand, although they do have like brochette, which is kind of like shish kebab, but it's considered rude to just eat out in public. And it's funny because you go to Uganda and they do it all the time, so it's just
and the guy was doing that for that video. He had a plate of food, and they said they cleaned the gutters. Let me tell you, they cleaned the sewers 5 times a damn day.
Yeah, it's very clean.
Damn, America hasn't cleaned its sewers in like almost 100 years.
I mean, you go to New York City. I mean, no Rwandan ain't right, but Paul Kagame probably is like, I can't. When he has to go like a UN meeting in New York, he's probably like, I can't wait to get the hell out of this shit hole.
Oh no, that's exactly how he's like. He's called out so many African leaders on the cleanliness of their country alone. Where he said, "Listen, I get it. You guys feel like you need foreign investors to help build your infrastructure, but you don't need them to clean your streets. So pick up the trash."
Exactly.
But again, it's within in other countries. It's kind of unfortunately part of their culture. Because when I was in Uganda, like driving in the car, people, the buses in front of me, people were just literally throwing food and shit out the window. I was disgusted and like, oh my God.
Wow.
So, and in Rwanda, if you throw some trash on the street, someone will come up to you and pick that shit up. Like the police, if they don't arrest you, they like pick that shit up and other pedestrians will call you out on it and say,
like I said, I'm hoping that culture diffuses to Uganda. I mean, I really do.
Yeah, it's
progress is contagious. Progress is contagious.
Yep,
man.
it is.
Other countries are gonna see Rwanda, especially when they see African Americans come over there and not only infuse in it but pump that economy up. That's gonna make other African countries welcome us back. I mean, we have an out from this, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for an out from this country because I'm looking at.
You
this
got an out, brother. You got it out. I mean, trust me. When you get there in November, we don't think we're getting you back. we don't think you and Belle gonna be like. I'm like, oh, we all supposed to leave you and Belle gonna be like, no, we staying a couple more. Aren't your jobs? We called the week quit already. I mean, but
and like one other point I want to make because another thing to like exemplify the safety. And this was shocking to me, and it's funny because the tour guide asked me, he's like, "What was one of the most shocking things you've seen when you've been here?" And it was seeing little kids. You know what? Not even kids, babies, little babies walking by themselves to and from school. When I say babies, these kids had to be in daycare. Like there was a kid no older than 3 years old walking by himself to and from school, and no one does anything. And it's normal. It's completely normal. Now in Kagame, like, they walk with their siblings, but out in the villages and provinces and the districts, they're just like the kids just walk themselves. They're walking with their goats, with the cows, all of it. And it's just like, yo, you got babies on the side of the road. He's like, yeah, this is normal. This is what they go to school, and then they're good. There's no kidnappings, no violence, nothing like that.
You know what's so very interesting? Because you mentioned security. I would have loved to have Minister Dawood here with that because he would do so well. Because
he would.
They are so very into security and setting up and protecting people, and the women and the children are safe.
They would love him for that to expand on their security system. Oh my God, they would just like, oh, of course, have at it.
Wow. And then we saw it because you took a picture with the soldiers. I'm like, they just sitting there they trying to look serious, they relaxing,
Yeah, they were looking serious for the picture. So this was funny because I went on a hike on Mount Basoke where they have like gorillas and all this stuff. And it's funny because I was the only Black woman in the group. It was like, all these other white people because we all had to do it as a group even if we weren't together just because they had security with us because that volcano bordered the Congo. Nothing happened to anyone there, but just for safety. Like he is dead serious about safety. He's not trying to have tourists, be attacked or whatever. So it's standard to have those military guards. And so it was about 4 or 5 of them. And we did the hike, and this is how sweet they are, and so I was so happy they were to see a Black American. I did not make it to the top of that damn volcano. It was 3,000 meters. Wow. And I did my best. I was exhausted. I got a good workout, and I was like, all right, I'm good. I'm done. And
they're like, 2 miles, but that's like a mile basically. Yeah.
And it's just climbing up, just going up the whole time. So I was like, I'm done. And it was like, all right, you done? I was like, yes. They was like, okay, we're naming this area of the mountain after you. I was like, are you dead serious? And it was like, yes, this is how we name the area. So the next time you come here, this is going to be like Nadej's area. So I was like, well, what about the rest of the people who go to the top? What do they get? He's like, they just get to say they went to the top. So,
oh, wow.
And what's funny is there was like a total group of about 8 or 9 of us and me by myself. The men were so protective. The 2 guards came back with me along with my porter and my tour guides. I had 4 guys with me. And I was like, well, the rest of the group still need you guys because they only had 2 guards for like 7 other people. And they were just like, shit, it was like the nickname, the name they call white people is Mzungus. So there's like, let the gorillas get the Mzungus. I could care less.
There's you hear that, family? You went to a Black country that's progressing where Black Americans are celebrated over white people. If that's not a selling point for Black Americans,
let the gorillas eat their ass. They were just like, no, we're escorting you back. Like they're
Wow.
serious about, and like this is why they want to see more, Black Americans come through. Like they're serious about protecting their women.
Oh,
And
well,
everything.
they gonna see more. They gonna see
Yeah.
more. I
So
hope they ready.
it was nice. So I took pictures with them at the end because they did this whole hike with me. All this extra was completely unnecessary, but they wanted to do it anyway.
Wow.
So yeah.
Yeah, because I saw the thing when you did the paddle boat. That was pretty fun.
Yes, that was fun. After and this was so cool. So when you go to Gisenyi, it is literally a black beach. It's like, so Gisenyi is like the vacation spot for everybody from Kigali. It's 3 hours from Kigali. Everyone go over there on the weekend. They go party. You can do the silent disco, which is really, really fun. Basically, like everyone put on headphones and there's 4 different DJs playing.
I'm glad you
And
added that into the itinerary.
yeah. Oh yes, add it in. We definitely. So, it was so much fun. Like everyone's just at this nightclub with headphones on, and just you all listening to different stations. It's just like you're dancing to whatever you want. So it's and it lasts till like the wee hours of the morning. So everyone goes there, and it's on the beach. And then during the day, like everyone's just chilling on the beach. You can do a boat ride. The boat ride I did, I kid you not, it cost me the equivalent of $5 American.
Wow.
$5 US. And they took me to around the entire lake, nearly the entire lake. Like I could see where the methane gas extraction was. They drove me around that. They took me to the islands, it was everything. Then we did the paddle boat for like equivalent of $1 US. So it was so cheap. So it's like you want to do all these activities, and it's nice because the music is playing on the beach. It's nothing but black people on the beach partying, black people from the continent.
Man.
So it's like oh shit, like it's a black people on the beach just chilling.
You know what's so crazy? When you say this, I think of that Richard Pryor skit when he said, "I went to Africa." He said, "You know, the only thing I did not see, I ain't see niggas." I mean, and he said that shocked me because it was not about, and just to hear that. I mean, like I said, just by hearing this alone, and like I said, if we get Dynas to go over there because he has like a huge following, I mean, they will get a one. He needs to go.
He needs he doesn't know what he's missing.
Yeah, because he's always in Ghana and Nigeria. I'm like, he loves Nigeria, but I'm like, dude, I mean, you
gotta see, because it's so different. Like, and even my tour guide explained to me, he was like, Nigeria. He's like Nigeria and some parts of South Africa. He's like, you don't want to go because it'll ruin your entire opinion of the whole continent. So he's like, like it's. He's like, when you look at it and then you come to Rwanda, it's like a place you never thought this could be possible.
Yeah,
so
Rwanda's like that. And it's so weird. I showed a video of Rwanda today to a woman that I met. She was from Senegal. And she's like, I'm so jealous. I wish Senegal was like this. I mean.
And Senegal is a gorgeous country, I was told, too.
Yes. But she's like, it's nowhere near compared to this. And the other thing I wanted to ask is, like, how many West Africans do you see coming to Rwanda often?
It wasn't many. That's another, like, like I don't want to stereotype and say like Nigerians are not going to come through because they can't scam. I really don't want to say that, but like that's not going to happen there. So it wasn't many West Africans, but because it's like far east, there was tons of Tanzanians. There was a majority of their emigrated population is the Congolese. Yeah. They're like doing a thing, like they're involved in business and doing their thing there too. I didn't see, some Burundi, but not too much. But there's really no difference between a Rwandan and someone from Burundi anyway.
Yeah.
There was Ugandans, people from South Sudan, because it's north of that, north of Uganda and stuff. So it's people mostly on the east, and Kenyans. A lot of Kenyans were there to do business.
Wow.
But I did not see many west or any from the other part. And they even said that they was like, they don't get much. But it's definitely like it's a place to go. Like you really need to see it. You got to be there. And like, oh shit! Like during the day it's gorgeous. During the night it's gorgeous. It never stops. So, and what's funny is they sleep late and wake up really early. I'm not sure how they do this because the day people are out and about at 5:30 in the morning. Like,
well, that's usually I can honestly say that that's usually a symptom of being really happy because happy people. I kid you not. No, seriously, people who love what they do, like are passionate about life, they go to bed really late and they can't wait to get back up in the morning and they are full of energy.
Because
So-
I hear people out and about from midnight to 1 a.m. Like, it's not too loud, but you can see like the city is still popping, like people still out there. And then people are out working at 5:30 in the morning, like, getting their stuff ready for the market and all this stuff. So I'm like, oh damn. So, like, you guys
I'm
went
telling
in.
you.
But yeah, it's really it's definitely a place to be, and everyone's just so nice and welcoming. Like, they're excited to see us come through, excited to have us there. Like, it's definitely worth it. I'm actually hoping Dynas goes.
He does need to go. He needs to get off this Ghana, Nigeria bullshit. Because
like,
he needs to.
Yeah, it changes your perspective when you get there.
Yes.
Like, all of a sudden, all the other shit you don't care about. Like, when I was there, I did not care about jack shit that was going on in America or West or anything else. Like, you were just into it.
There.
You were just living the life there, and you're just like, oh shit, where can we go next? What's this spot? Oh man, like, this nightclub is popping. There's nightclubs everywhere.
Wow.
And it's like, it's just everyone just, you can do club hopping and be very responsible. Like, there's not like drunk drivers on the road or anything crazy. People are not getting into fights. Like, it's just everyone is having a good time. And it's kind of I don't want to say toxic, but it's intoxicating to be around that.
Oh, I can't wait. I mean, shit. Oh my goodness. I can't wait to get there. I mean, like I said, I want a house there already. I mean, I'm already thinking about getting a house there. I mean, that's gonna be sick.
You could get a lot with very little money. I have to get the exact numbers, but you can get a lot.
We definitely can do that. So, any other brothers want to ask some questions or add on? Oh,
yeah,
I guess it's just
late for you guys. Oh, it's what, 11:30? Oh my god, you're here late.
Man, like your experience is like so dope. Like everything that you express is like, it kind of like solidify what we actually need. I said need to do, but we mirror as far as like looking at Rwanda and say, hey, Rwanda has this. They was up under this issue, but us as African Americans, hey, we trying to establish a nation state. We can actually use this blueprint to say, hey,
this is
wherever we go, yeah, exactly. So whatever we think of, shit, we already have a blueprint. Even though, like even in the states that they Marcus Garvey had one of the greatest runs of trying to establish all the black people to come together.
Mm-hmm.
But this right here is the next thing, y'all.
Oh, they have a Pan-African movement in Rwanda. I saw a Pan-African bank. I got to post it.
Oh, wow.
I was like, it's called Eco Bank. It's a Pan-African bank.
Oh, okay.
I realized there was like a Pan-African movement, but yeah, there's a pretty strong one in Kigali itself. And it's like, we definitely have Pan-Africans here. We believe in the same thing.
So one of the things I do want to have when we go there, we all got to get BAIO t-shirts made. Have a group photo with the BAIO t-shirts there. And another thing, I forgot what the heck I was going to say about with the Rwanda group for the Facebook for the BAIO and Instagram. Like every day, post something, a video up, or at least like do the itinerary as we go along. So this way, other members and stuff could really follow us along. So when we do it again next year, we'll definitely get a buzz going. Because, like I said, I'm so excited about this trip and the implications that it has for being a travel destination for Black Americans. Like I said,
have to go. Oh.
Yes, $63 billion. They will be happy to try to win that cash. And if they know anything about Black Americans, if we like something, we'll spend some dough on it. I mean,
and I'm gonna post a video shortly on the traditional wedding I went to, because they're very, very traditional there. Like it's like cool to be part of the tradition and do the traditional dances and wear the traditional clothes. Like that's
I love that. I love that video, man.
Yeah. And I'm gonna post some more because how nice these people are. These people did not know me from Adam. And they knew I was doing a tour, and the tour guide told me his cousin was getting married, and he has to be, in the wedding. And I was like, okay, that's fine. We can just kind of switch around that day. And he's like, well, no, that's not what I wanted to tell you. My cousin wants you in the wedding too. I was like,
so Belle, you're like a legend right now, right? Because it's like You went over there just to say, "Hey, I'm just gonna see this and this."
Yes,
You're
yes.
in a fucking wedding. I'm like,
So their traditional
what?
wedding, and then I was like,
Exactly.
okay, how do I get dressed? He's like, don't worry, you know, like his cousins, like the sisters and stuff, are gonna dress you. And so I don't know
Wow.
any of these people. Like I know nobody. This is how amazing this is. I know no one. So they
Wow.
Come
But
on,
you
man.
know what though? You know what though? That's how Black people need to be,
and
man.
they're
That's so uplifting to hear this because
yes.
that's how we're supposed to be. It's like a
Yep.
Black just hearing you say an African that's never met you before is inviting you to his wedding. That's the type of people we need.
And he specifically said, "You will play the role of one of my sisters in the traditional wedding." And I'm like,
Oh
dude, wait,
shit.
what's your name? And so when I get there, I meet, you know, his cousin, and his cousin, she's such a sweetheart. Her name is Janet, and I took a picture of her. I took a picture with her, and
I remember that.
yeah,
I
she was
followed
like,
you.
she's like, I have 4 sisters. You're gonna be sister number 5. She's like, let me dress you
Wow.
for this. Like, they fed me. They did all of this stuff. So I was just overwhelmed with the love.
Wow.
And these are people I never met, never had a conversation before. They just hugged me and was like, "No, you're one of us now."
Well,
And just I was just there now, drinking banana wine at this wedding while everyone's traditional dance. So
Wow.
it was an amazing experience. So that's how welcoming and nice and sweet they are.
Wow.
And they're like, no, you guys are like family to us, so just come home. Like,
Oh
and they're
man.
home.
Sis, you gotta move there. It's not even.
That's hard.
You gotta move there. It's like it ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If anybody who goes to Rwanda and chooses to stay in America, you got to get your head examined after this point. I mean, because I've never in my life I never even heard of white people doing that with other white people in white.
No, not at all.
No.
So that's all. Like I felt the love there. Like everyone just hugs you and kisses you as soon as they see you. They don't even know you. They're like, you know what? You Black, you belong here. And if you tell them you're Black American, even better. Come home. They're just like, come home. This is where you belong.
We got somewhere to go, man. That's what I'm happy about. Yeah.
So I was telling Holip before. I was like, anybody from the BAIO, and like you go to Rwanda and you just say, you know what, I'm gonna pitch tent here. If you don't want to run the rest of the race, have an own nation to say, we'll completely understand. I mean, if you want to be a citizen of Rwanda, because it's like, I mean, I could see me doing that. I would happily have a Rwandan flag waving above my house. I never raised a nation's flag above my house. I will, to be a part of something, I will have a flag waving. I will be a patriot of that country. I will be the most patriotic citizen ever.
Yeah.
So no, they're looking forward to coming through. So yeah, we got to set this up.
Definitely.
Rwanda could be the gateway to a nation state, man.
Yes, it would be.
I'm gonna be honest with you. That's exactly what I felt from the energy there, with what he's building, what he's planning, and like he has like that master plan is going on and on and on, and is the big things are gonna happen. And I was like, this could be it. This could be like the starting. Not the nation state like we said, but at least a really good, successful satellite community with support. If we can occupy like a district or a province as part of it, they would fully run with it. They're like, oh, absolutely, you guys need to have your own nation state. Absolutely.
Oh wow! Just like I said, in terms of being. In terms of just diplomatic support, just to have them, and the fact that they're growing as powerful as they are, with the influence they have, that'd be a major one. I mean,
yes, that's the immediate vibe I got there, and it was without question. Like I didn't talk about nationhood. I was like, Black people want to come back and develop their own and all this stuff. And the first question I got is like, since you guys have an issue with leaving, how come you didn't do it over there?
Exactly.
And I gave that recording to Holip. I'm like trying to answer that, and like, okay, it's not gonna really work out because we tried before, it failed. We're not in power, we don't own the infrastructure, all this stuff. And he's like, okay, that makes sense. He's like, you guys need to come back and do it here. Then come back and do it here. Like do it on African soil. It's just as much yours as everybody else.
Wow.
So,
Amen.
I mean, no doubt in my mind, I can't wait to go. I can't wait.
Yeah.
I just definitely can't wait.
But yeah.
Oh, go ahead, sis.
Oh no! I was gonna say that. So it's definitely we got to set up the plan to get everyone. It's a good bit of people going because I think everyone would enjoy it. Definitely have fun with their life.
So, okay, I know that you talked about your experience as far as living and like where you stayed at. So, what is your option as far as like, is it like bread and breakfast, or is it like a $90?
Every place you stay at will serve breakfast. It's just standard. Every place you stay is gonna serve it. It's so easy too. Like everything's fresh. You got avocados, tree tomatoes, which is a fruit and really good, and it really tastes like a fruit. Mangoes, like you get everything fresh. So it's like standard. They just give you the breakfast. It's part of whatever you pay. It's really. I just happened to pick a lucky location where I was really close to where my tour guide's house was, and really close to like even like the not really the city center, but I was probably like a 5-minute drive from the city center. So it was just like it wasn't much to get around from there.
Because I know me and you supposed to get up. We gotta work with the itinerary as far as like the best option for everybody to come out there. So that's why I was asking you: is it, best for us to do like a hotel, or are we going to do like a bed and breakfast? Because I was like kind of on the limb of like, oh shit, the bed and breakfast is kind of cheaper versus staying in a standardized hotel.
You can do the bed and breakfast. That's not a problem. I just like having my own bathroom. So.
Okay, so explain to us what is the difference between bed and breakfast versus a hotel.
Well, it depends on where. Like they don't have like the standard like bed and breakfast per se. Like they have hostels, which is where their Mzungus stay. The white people, the poor white people, which I taught them the term bottom shelf grad, so now they're obsessed with that term.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
Wow.
I taught them the term coon, so they're obsessed with that too. So,
oh my goodness!
You guys need to stop. Because they're like, what do you call these people? What do you call me? I was like, that's bottom shelf grad. That's a coon. So.
Oh my god! So you taught them what a coon is? So basically, the president of Uganda, you said he was a coon, right?
Wait, who?
Wow. That's good. I'm glad you bring Afro-American lingo.
Yeah, I brought the lingo to them, so they just thought it was hilarious. They were just like, okay, so these kind of hotels is where bottom shelf grads stay, and basically like 4 white boys who just want to say they lived in Africa just to have the Africa stamp. So they just go stay with the hostels, which is where you're kind of like in one big shared room space or so.
Yeah, I know what that is. Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah,
I'm not smelling a bunch of white. I have no desire to smell a bunch of white boys in the morning. I have no desire to do that. Give me my own room. I ain't doing that. I'll pay for the hotel room, no problem. I'll wake up, get my sunshine. I got my own room, my own bed, my own bathroom. Nah.
Yeah. So
I did not see white people.
So so I had my own bedroom, my own bathroom. I had a balcony, everything for $68 a night. So it was next to nothing. So you can do that. They do have some houses around. They have some nice houses there too. I'm not gonna lie. You can definitely rent them. I don't know what the set price is. I can definitely have the tour guide look into it if depending on the group. But I personally I don't want to share a bathroom with guys, so I might not stay there. That's just what.
I don't want to share a bathroom with nobody either.
Shit, we all got. Hey, listen here. We can fantasize on all that shit, but we gotta like at least make this reasonable.
No, it's not you military. You used to that.
I know, right? Now, listen here. Stop calling me out. Like it's not about me right now. It's about Belle. What Belle?
And then going out to eat is nothing. Like restaurants, on average, you pay less than, I would say, to get everything you need at a restaurant is about 8,000 Rwandan francs. That's equivalent to about roughly $8, $9. So you can eat like full meal for less than 10 USD and stuff. It's like dinner was less than $10. Less than $10 US. So we're
amazing.
never trying different restaurants every night. Even though restaurants, the hotel, I was like, let me see how high I could make this bill just to see. Because I was like, everything's so damn cheap, even steak. I was like, how y'all just giving steak away for $6?
Wow. So how was the steak? I'm meant to ask about that because I've discovered the power of beef and it's delicious. How was the steaks over there?
It was good because they have, like they do value their cattle, so they take care of their cows. They really do. So the steak was really, really good, and I was just like, "How y'all charging $6 for this? This is criminal." So
because it's not a delicacy, though. I think that's why.
It probably, yeah, you're probably right. So the most expensive I could actually make my bill was probably equivalent to $18 US, and that was me ordering, getting wine, getting more drinks, and I'm like, my God, you guys are like giving this shit away.
See, brothers, that's why y'all need to learn how to day trade. If you make $1,000 US a day, you're gonna live like a king. And all that, but you can teach other people there how to do it.
Someone
build up the economy.
$100 was good for a week. Yes, like I had. Actually, I mean, to be on the safe side, I would say $200 US just to like do whatever you want for a week, where you're going shopping and doing all this extra stuff will get you really far.
$200? Belle, you said $200?
$200.
Yo, Belle, when I went to Costa Rica, it took me $1,000 to have a good time.
Oh no!
Whatever I want. I mean,
what was you doing, Neo?
$1,000. Like, what are you doing?
No, Neo was doing extracurricular stuff, so he's not gonna add
I
that.
I didn't do anything with because like I did a lot of shopping. Like Costa Rica is surprisingly more expensive than Rwanda, and I had a great time because even being in that country, it's not even a black country, but being outside of the United States, you feel like, oh my goodness, I am alive. This is what it means, and it's like you don't have a dementia living with you. And I absolutely loved it. It gave me the travel bug. But hearing what you had to say about Rwanda, I'm like, damn, I'm ready to just like uproot my life and just go.
So
you will.
So Neo, so you was like, you snapped your finger and everybody was there, right?
No. Well, it was. Let me tell you. But let me tell you, with the hotel I stayed at, I was in San Jose. I was in the capital, and the people were extremely nice. The service was amazing. Like I said, the food was awesome because everything was organic. Everything. I mean, everything. I mean, it was grown from the land. The milk, everything. One thing I noticed, they didn't have lemons. They used limes for everything. But that was,
actually, that's more healthier though.
Exactly. Alcohol was extremely available and cheap. I mean, you can go to like the gas station and buy liquor, which seemed counterintuitive, but that was great. I mean, I don't think I was sober during the entire trip, but I mean, it was contrasting it to what she's saying about Rwanda, because usually when I travel, I like to have like a good financial cushion to make sure I can get everything done. And she said for $200 you can like enjoy yourself like that. I'm definitely gonna make sure to broadcast and showcase that.
This is in Kigali. For $200 for a week in Kigali, you can get a lot done. If you go to Gisenyi, which is in the west near the border of the Congo, you don't even need that much. I would say a week there, you need like anywhere from like $80 to $100 US, and you'll have a splendid time for a week there. So it's like next to nothing.
I can't wait. I seriously can't wait.
But yeah, it was lovely, and I have to say, the tour guide we use, he's a hustler for real. I mean, he was haggling prices because once I talked, they realized I wasn't. So there was some areas where they were like upping the price on me, and he was just making sure that wasn't happening. And he was really good with like setting it up so they wouldn't do that. Like he's making deals with vendors and like, yo, if you give a good price, I'll bring all my customers to you. Or if you do this, he was just setting up all this stuff to make sure like clients weren't being taken advantage of and stuff. But he's like, they'll tend to do that. So he's like, but he's like, just get them in check. That's all it is, So he was making sure that like I wasn't like overpaying for anything. So,
okay, so from your experience, what would you say as far as like, if you want to be pampered, how much it's going to cost versus if you're going to just go there and just be, living, trying to be like conservative with your money.
If you just living to be conservative on average, I'm gonna say renting an apartment in kind of like their like so to speak slums, because even the slums is really nice. It's still like I think the cheapest house. They said the cost of the cheapest house in Kigali is still less than $70,000 US.
Wow.
For real.
And that's, I think, even less than that. I want to say less than $50,000 US for like the cheapest, most basic house you can get. If you got $100,000, you can get something like middle class. If you go over that, you basically, you balling and stuff. You do big stuff. Now, if you go to the west near Gisenyi, where the big lake is, and like all the, people go to vacation, it's even cheaper than that. Like $100,000 will get you a mansion over there, like with a water view and stuff. So like it's really like next to nothing. For an apartment, I believe like rent is less than $500 a month for like a 1-bedroom, and it might be a 2-bedroom, to be honest.
Damn.
Yeah, I got
See,
the
brothers, y'all better learn how to day trade, make money anywhere.
Yeah,
that's what I'm doing. I'm like, I tell people on my job like all the time. I was like, listen, if I find a way to make $500 a day, I'm out of this country. And I mean it. And after hearing that, like, I'm gonna go ham with respect to my studying and everything, because this, just talking with you is giving me an incentive to work my ass off to just get out of here.
Oh yeah, you're gonna go there and you're gonna be like, oh my god, I need to be part of this. How do I get back as fast as possible? That's what's in my head right now, is just racing to get back and figure out how to make it get started. And just to address, because I've taught them bottom shelf Brad terms and teaching them like, okay, these are the because they were asking about the black, the race mixing in the U.S. I was like, okay, yeah. So in the males, we teach them bottom shelf Brad. So over there, it's actually really considered almost like taboo to date. Like, you have a few people who date outside. Like, you definitely have the guys who like slept with some white girls and whatever, but they're not marrying them. They're like, no, that's not happening. And even the same thing with the women. Like, it's kind of considered, like, they see that as beneath them or the tradition to do so. Like, they're all about sticking with their own. So that was like,
so the swirlers aren't gonna have a good time over there.
Yeah, yeah. Basically.
Unless you bring your dude with you, you're pretty much not gonna have a good time.
Yeah. And here's another interesting fact, which I didn't know it was like a trend there. Because they were saying for a minute, some of the women were getting into that skin bleaching shit.
They made it illegal. You can't own skin bleaching.
He made it illegal immediately.
Dopeness.
Banned all those products. That's not happening. He's like, the women are gonna love the skin they're in, whether they want to or not. It's not happening there. So like that. I haven't seen women like they're saying like, no, there's tons of women who do skin bleaching, but like I didn't see it. Like, I couldn't tell. I'm like, you usually can tell their skin looked very different, like pale and just unhealthy. I didn't see that, but they were just like, like, well, yeah, that shit is banned now. They're not allowing that. So yeah.
So, okay, so from your experience, you're saying that you are debunking most of the stereotypes of Africa, right?
This is why you gotta go, because when I went there, I was like,
exactly,
none of this shit is true. None of this shit is true. What people was assuming or saying, it's not, or at least it's damn sure not true in Rwanda. It's not. Like, there's not an oppressed group that's just suffering and dying, and like none of that is happening. People are happy.
No, but for the most part, a lot of people think that. Well, for the most part, in America, they think that African people all operate on the same plane.
No.
You know what I'm saying? That's
right.
And to think about it, it's like, yo, you got like 50 something countries in this one continent.
Yeah.
And it's like, what you're telling me is like, wait a minute, what you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about.
No, sir. And you see that there, especially just the stark differences between going from Rwanda to Uganda. Like, it was like, wow, your values are so different.
Right.
In Uganda, yeah, they were like, no problem exploiting their women. And Rwanda is the exact opposite. And they're just next door. Like that. It wasn't happening there. So, and everyone in East Africa, they know it. Like, they know what Rwanda is doing. And it's like, okay, Like we can't really compete with that. But like shit, we wish our company or our country, sorry, our country would get on their game too to like improve our situation. So they definitely feel it, and you can feel the energy there with all the youth who want to see something different. They want the old regime gone and want something similar to what they have in Rwanda.
I have a question. Is Bobby Wine, because I know Bobby Wine is big in Uganda, but music is pretty regional. Has Rwanda has an effect on him and his, in his campaign? Has he?
It had to some degree. It was interesting because when I was in Uganda, I went to Jinja, and it was said because there was like a lot of military trucks coming through, and they said Bobby Wine was just there for a funeral in Jinja, and it was said that he was raped. So it's like what Museveni of the country is doing, or the government is doing, is kind of like deliberately stressing him out and harassing him to get him to do something, so they can have an excuse to arrest him. So he's like constantly throughout the country on the run or like trying to avoid them. So, and it was sad to see that. It was really sad to see that. But, like you could see the traffic from all the military trucks going in one direction. And it's like, well, what's happening? And I was like, oh yeah, Bobby Wine was in that region.
Wow.
So, that they're just basically going to go start some shit with him on purpose, or harass the people who are trying to defend him or something like that. And which is so sad because next door it's like they're embracing their youth and embracing change and progress and all that, like all those things that he believes. So I'm sure Kagame in office pisses off a lot of the surrounding presidents.
Yes, he does.
Uganda, like it pisses them off a lot. But
and I'm pretty sure, based on what you told me about the youth and how they love Rwanda, that I'm confident that he has a really strong succession plan in place.
I'm sure he does.
Of keeping this progress going, because I'm pretty sure the people are not going to tolerate anything less than exemplary from the next person.
That is exactly true. Like that's the one thing, and they even said it. There's like the one thing we fear is, what happens when he finally does leave office? Like who's gonna come in and, try to mess this shit up? Because they have an attitude like they're not tolerating it. Like it's so good right now. They love it. They plan on staying there. And none of them are leaving. And, like you couldn't drag them out that country if you tried. Like, so they're like, whoever comes in next to start some, BS, like we waiting for that, and we got something planned for that. So they're really like the people themselves, the 12 million citizens are just like, this ain't happening. Like, you're not about to come up in here and just turn away everything that we built and how great we made this country. No.
Here's what I like about Kagame was like when he came to President Trump and about negotiation, he was like, yo, the people sent, he was like, yo, the people sent me here to say, this is what we want. If this is not what we're talking about, I don't want to talk about nothing. And he walked out. Do y'all remember that?
Yep. Because that was right after President Trump called those African countries shitholes. And he was the only one with some balls who said, you're not going to disrespect me in my country. Yeah. And he disrespected Trump in return. Yeah. And that was like, and that embarrassed a lot of other African nations, because you had a lot of other African nations, particularly West African nations.
It embarrassed them. It put them on front. Like, yo, you up. Let's go.
He made them look weak and stupid in front of their people. And I would assume that a lot of African leaders do not like him for that reason.
I mean, he's making a lot of people look bad, but it's like, what are you gonna do? Like, the country is so great. What are you gonna do? Like, he's abusing them. That's not true at all. Because everywhere.
But check this out, though. He was there representing his country. He wasn't representing himself. He could give a shit about himself. He was like, yo, I'm here to represent my country and what we need to move forward. And guess what? If we're not talking about nothing, I'm just gonna keep moving. Guess what?
Exactly.
They still got their airways though.
Yeah.
They flying now. What? Come on.
You know what's so amazing is that he believes in his country, Rwanda. His mission is like Rwanda. Like, if anything he has a problem with, he goes to his people for a solution. Like only time he will go to outside help if it's a last resort or if it's something that is an outside problem that they can't fix. But in terms of getting things done for his people and for his country, he goes solely for his own. Like he doesn't turn. When what influenced that was after the genocide, when the international community turned their backs on them, and
Yep.
he realized
Yeah,
that we are
yeah,
on our own,
exactly.
and he instills that in the education system. One of the things he teaches the youth is that nobody's going to take care of us but us, and that's why Rwandan youth are so proud of being Rwandan.
Yep.
And that's why they're so proud of their country. It's like, so I'm very confident that once he leaves, like I think the next person is probably gonna be more strict than he is,
Yeah.
because it's one thing to like dream it, but to preserve that, it's gonna be just like Singapore. I think Rwanda is gonna be the Singapore of Africa, without a shadow of a doubt.
It's just like what I kind of tell some of the people that I deal with or in my profession. Like, look, when I leave, I'm trying to build you better than what I am. If you don't take that torch and take that and be I'm giving you the tools, you know what I'm saying? It's like we going backwards. So that's what Kagame is like, yo, look, I'm setting the precedence for you to go to be better than I am. Because we came from this, but now we could be the leader in the world. That's what I love this dude, man. Look. Man, I'm with Holip, man. Holip, like, yo, if I don't even get to talk to him, if I can just fucking shake his hand, I'm satisfied.
Yep. He is the Thomas Sankara of the modern age. Without a shadow of a doubt.
Well, some people are able to do it. There's like, honestly, the way he rolled, like you never know where you see him. He just pops up. Like he's so there was like and this is like part of the government system he built. So in the provinces, just to make sure that the people, the governors or mayors of that province is doing the job and that they're not doing any shady stuff, he has a backup person, like a liaison that's located in Kigali. And so if the person in the province for some reason can't get what they need done or have a complaint or have, some type of complaint or court system, some issue, and it's not getting addressed, they can always contact the liaison in Kigali and they're responsible for addressing it. And if it's not addressed, Paul Kagame will roll up on you basically in that province and he will show up. They say the day where, like they're going over all these cases, he will show up and go through all the cases with you and ask you straight up, why didn't you address some of these problems? What happened? You can't say, I didn't have the help, I didn't have the time, I was overwhelmed. And these can be very well some of the cases. You can't say that. And you better just say like, okay, like this is a situation, and then try to finagle your way out of that in some way before he fires you on the spot. And so he does not play. There's like, he's an OG when it comes to this. Like he's rolling up and just taking care of business. Like he's just not just sitting up in the house and like just run itself. He's out there.
So I have a question. Are any of his ministers, his close people closest to him, are they the same way? When it comes to like, running their departments and the ships that they run. For
the most part, yes, they are. I think mainly because everyone's afraid of like not doing it and getting in trouble or getting fined or going to jail. So everyone's pretty strict and straight and straightforward, like getting it done. Like they said, you could still have some corrupt people here and there, like a police officer. If they pull you over, they won't, say, give me money and you'll get out of this. What they'll do is like open up a cash app on their phone and say, you know what to do.
And this is this is like a true check and balance. Like, like it's not even, I don't think it's a fear of them doing something wrong. I think they're just following exactly. They're just following what makes the country operate. Because if you start going against the grain, guess what happened? You have issues. And now and then Kagame's like, yo, I need to take out this threat or whatever's going on over here. Exactly. And but he's doing it, he's taking upon himself to do it instead of saying, you know what, I'm gonna give it to a board to do, which take 4 or 5, 6 years, and then it'll get it out of hand. He's like, you know what, I'm gonna just knock it out right now. Let's go. So I like that though.
I like that as well. I mean, I'm just like, I'm more concerned about whether the youth will really carry the torch the way,
Oh, they're going to. Yeah, they're going to.
Because I know for the next election, some young lady was running against him. She obviously lost, but Yeah, it was kind of an international scene where they're saying like, you know, he had her arrested, blah blah blah, this and the third.
No,
You know?
it's none of that. Like that's just all this hearsay and rumors.
Yeah.
I mean, he is strict. You do get like the people do get arrested, but that's usually if anything like you're doing something corrupt where it's hurting the people.
Yeah.
That's where he's getting you. You know, you're gonna get locked up for that. But for the most part, the people will tell you straight out, no, we want him in office. Like other people can run. What they gonna do? Like he built this to what it is. So we're gonna do what we can to keep him. And the people outright say that we will keep him there. There's no one who's gonna replace him until the day he dies, or until he starts showing signs of like, you know, senility where he's going crazy and not helping us anymore. Then we'll remove him. But other than that, he's staying in office because he's doing it right. Like we're gonna keep him in as long as possible. So
I'm pretty sure there's he got a replacement in hand because you can't tell me that a great leader like that is like sitting there like, yeah, I'm gonna be the first, the last, and forever.
No.
Exactly. Because what he pushing is to the young people, and like the young people, like I look up to this guy. So guess what? I'm gonna look to the young people to say, hey, I need someone to fill in my slot because you are the future.
And to make matters even better, with us as Black Americans taking an interest, you know, us coming from what we come from in terms of, I guess if Black leadership in America was half the man he is, we wouldn't even be having this conversation.
No.
So us coming from the deficit that we're coming from, going in there, you know, one thing about Black Americans, if we like something and we care about something, we go hard for it to make sure it lasts.
Say that again?
So
yeah, we did.
But the plan for the master plan, like you just see, like you're like, man, this country on another level with their development. Like, and what's funny is it's not like they have a lot. Like you said, their GDP is what, 9 billion or something. Like they don't have a lot, but they're doing everything with what they have and opening the doors for other people to come and help build it up too.
They seem to be very efficient, extremely
very
efficient.
very efficient, and down to
nothing goes to waste.
Nope, that's very true. Down to the lowest level of the farmer, they like nothing goes to waste. Everyone's just out there just building up the country, like whether it's cleaning, whether it's making sure, you know, like things run efficiently, where, you know, traffic is moving, like people just get out in the street and just help. I was like, I never seen some shit like this in my life. Like I got nothing to do but just get out and help people. Like, yeah, this is what we do.
So you telling me that you got a country that like the GPE is only a certain amount, but at the same time they are comfortable where they are and don't want to leave?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
That sounds weird.
They're not leaving. They're not leaving. If anything, more people coming through after seeing
Why would I want to leave that shit too? I'm like, shit, I want to pick up some damn trash. Dude, what you talking about?
I was told, they was like, listen, this is the issue you're gonna have after coming to Rwanda. Any other country you go to on the African continent, you're just gonna constantly compare. So don't compare. They're like, just save yourself the heartache. Don't compare. So, but like, of course, that happened in Uganda. I couldn't help myself. I'm like, this shit is not Rwanda. I want to go back.
And you know, that's the benefit. That's why we got to get Dynas over there, because he's been to other African countries, and he's going to compare. He's going to be like, listen, when he speaks to them other people from Nigeria, he's going to be like, listen, I went to Rwanda, this, that, and the third is going on. Like, the people there love the country. They don't even want to leave. I thought I would never hear of that. People in an African country that do not want to go to Europe or America because they love where they at so badly.
Like they want to go for the opportunity, but they want to come back.
Yes.
They're like, we'll go and learn, because their education system, although it's like making progress, is still not like up there yet, but you see it moving in that direction. Mm-hmm. There's still, so much room for improvement. So, their youth, the 20-something, they're like, okay, let me just go to college overseas, but I'm coming back. I'm bringing this right back. Like, they're serious about coming back home. So and building much opportunity.
And one thing I said before we go, because it's almost time. What I want to do now is like look up Rwandans in America who are studying, students who the government have sent out, and sort of reach out to them and ask them what their plans are in terms, because see if they want to come back. Because I'm pretty sure, if you're, if they're, especially if they're recent transfers over, if they came to the U.S. between like over the last 3 years or so, they're probably homesick as hell. So I would love to talk to them about stuff,
Yeah,
see what we can do for them.
That would be interesting, but yeah. All right, fellas. I kept you here late enough. It's midnight over there.
Oh, it was always a pleasure, Belle.
Oh yeah, it's always good. I ain't got nothing to do. I'm gonna leave anyway. So hey.
What's up? But yeah, so we can set the dates that work for you, Neo, since you already have the 10th to the 23rd.
Yeah,
and then
the 10th to the 24th.
10th to the 24th. Okay, and you guys will do minimum 10 days, right?
Yep.
All right, so we just got to get a good bit of people, no more than 24, and then we can set up stuff to get over there and get the prices set.
Well, we could do more than 24. We're not gonna limit everybody, but just like if the maximum we would love to reach is 24, but if we have more than 24, you know what I'm saying?
We may have to get like another tour guide for those other people.
Right.
It's about the amount of people that the tour guide could accommodate.
Right.
It's not like once we get there, if we have people willing to stay there long term, like Belle and Ali, and they get to learn the lay of the land, then we won't have to go through a tour guide or anything because they'll be there and they, we could just move from there and there. So it could be like, like a second home away from, well, that'll be home. Like this is this shit ain't home for me. But kind of like that. So if we get to 24, that'll be awesome. My main thing is just getting there. Just because I like to for long flights, just at least a day or two just for the flight because depending on where you're leaving from, like I'm leaving out of New York, so New York to Amsterdam, that's got to be like an 8-hour flight and another 8-hour flight. So I'm gonna be 16 plus on a plane. So just when you get there that day, just to recover from that shit, I'm just gonna need that in a sense. But the main thing is just basically getting the people to go. I want to get the BAIO T-shirts made for the trip. I'm envisioning some of the BAIO logo with your city, with your city that you're from. So since Holip and I were in the New York chapter, I've had an idea of using the BAIO logo with a part of the skyline from New York on it and the skyline from Kigali, blended together.
God,
so the New York chapter. Like the Kigali 2019 or Rwanda 2019 trip. So have this a shirt just for that, printed up so we could wear this for a group photo op or something like that. But it's gonna be a dope trip. I want to ask you before you go, is the distillery? Because remember we.
Oh, so yeah, they do have tons of distilleries.
You worried about that distillery, bro?
I mean, what?
Hey, before you go, but that distillery though, fuck the coffee, fuck the beans and everything, but distillery.
Listen. I gotta go with my passions. I'm sorry.
I'm good. Yeah, I'm just messing you, bro.
I saw the distillery in Gisenyi. It was a huge one. They do all their popular Rwandan beer there.
Oh man!
And there's other. I know there's other points. We're gonna look into more. Because he wants to do a good coffee tour because he knows, some of you guys want to, especially you.
Yes, and I do because I got requests for coffee now.
Oh yeah.
I know I gotta let you go because how hard is it to bring stuff out of the country in terms of traveling? Because
for coffee and stuff, not hard at all.
Yeah.
You can carry that.
So it was a question about moonshine earlier up in the chats.
No,
this is a perfect time for me to ask you. Someone asked me about do they create moonshine and
so their version of moonshine, which is their traditional beers and wine, is banana beer. It is popular to drink it at a wedding ceremony, and it's great fresh. The thing is, though, it kind of sneaks up on you. So that thing kicks in a little bit after you already swallowed it. You kind of feel
so it's a delay. So it sneaks up on you.
It sneaks up on you. The banana. So they have the beer, honey beer, and this is what their kings used to drink. Back prior to colonization and everything. Wow. So they have what's popular there is the Uganda brand gin, which they have in coconut and pineapple, which is really good. and they are. I'm gonna tell you this right now, though. This is what killed me when I was there because everywhere I went, you ask for a drink, they are very, very, very generous with the alcohol they give you. A little,
Oh, not the shots.
a little too much.
They gave a little shots.
Like it's not a
They give you
little.
a cup
Like you know,
like you drinking tea.
no.
So the
You
potential to get toe up is very real.
Yes, they'll give you an 8-ounce
Nice.
glass. You ask for a shot. They give you 3 shots in that glass.
Oh,
And it's
wow.
like, listen, I didn't ask for this much. I'm trying to walk out of here tonight. Like, let's tone it down.
So family, we must give you a disclaimer. If you don't know how to hold your liquor and you don't want to end up in a Rwandan jail, stay for one shot or just get a little bottle of beer and call it a day. We'll help carry you back to the hotel. Don't worry about it.
Or just drink some milk. Just drink some milk or some water.
There you go.
Milk is good. But it was funny because I was at a restaurant and I was asking for just a cocktail. It's almost impossible to get a cocktail there because their cocktails apparently are dangerous. When I asked for a cocktail, the waiter was telling, he was saying in Rwanda what the cocktail was in it. And then my tour guide was like, wait a minute, that's not a cocktail, that's poison. Like, she's not drinking that. And then I was like, what was in there? And so they're very generous. And they were just like, what? Everybody drinks this. So I was like, okay, I'm not up on your alcohol game. I really can't handle it.
Wow.
Because
I know some people who like to get toe up, and
fast. And next morning you're like, oh shit, what happened? Because they're so cheap too.
So for the most part, how everybody get fucked up and how the distinction of alcohol based is based off of distillery. Everybody know that, right? So it's the process of how alcohol is made. So you might have 50%, you have 50 proof and so on and so forth, but probably in Africa, like you probably getting like 130 proof.
Yes, you are. because you're getting it from banana trees and cassava plants.
Exactly. So you're getting that straight raw shit.
We might even start a biodiesel business over there.
Oh,
biodiesel generators and stuff.
Listen here, I gotta go home. Just pour it right in the fucking cars.
And don't let it be on the night when the cars stop running and everybody's walking to work. So we gotta carry your toe up ass in the street. Make sure you don't puke in the gutter so you don't get a ticket. It'll be a disaster, folks. We don't want an international incident, at least not on the first trip.
Right, exactly.
We don't want to bring the bad stereotypes of Black Americans.
No.
Yeah, exactly. You want a cocktail? No, let me get.
Let me get some water and milk.
Yeah.
They are generous with the alcohol. I'll say that. Like, just be careful. Be careful. And watch them when they pour it. Like, I don't need that much. Come on, slow it down, buddy.
So question, because because white folks are very, entertaining when they drink. So, because they were well behaved, but how were they? I mean, because you want to get white people money.
No, like even the ones who were drunk, I mean, they were just, doing what they do, dance off beat at the silent. So they were just all over the place. Everybody looking at them like, oh God. But other than that, the white people there, I would have to say they were very, very humble. Like it's almost like they knew they couldn't puff up their chest or act like any type of privilege or anything like that. Like they really humbled themselves because you could see basically you have a city of just Black people walking around full confident, full functioning, don't need you, doing their own thing. Like they're looking at you like I'm a damn queen. What you doing here? Like you're kings and queens. What your broke ass over here doing? I would say the white people there weren't that bad. They were there to work and just move around and stuff. It wasn't as much as I was expecting. I really did. Like, you see them, but it's like I was expecting a lot more than what I saw. When I went to Uganda, I saw even more, and they were
they could get away with it.
Yeah, because they could get away with it. Like in Uganda, they were like basically it was a white woman walking up into a bar, just flirting with all the Black men. She did not care. She was by herself. She could care less. But in Rwanda, that wasn't happening.
Hell no.
That shit ain't happening in fucking the Flintstones either.
That's one of the
Got
issues.
your head motherfucking beat with that damn club. Bloop!
That's one of the issues like, you know, with Uganda, because in Uganda they were like they do that marriage for visa mess.
Mhm.
In Rwanda, they're like, what do you need that for? I'm in the greatest country right now. No, I'm not marrying some, you know, Mzungu for a visa. I'm staying my ass here.
But
So-
I do envy you, not in a bad way. I envy you in a great way because you got to experience all of like you got a wedding, you got like the tour, you got the dude singing to you with the fucking bull, and I'm like, what is Belle doing? Like, come on.
I think the tour guy had some other motives. I think he was sending some message. He invited you to a wedding. He's arguing for you. He said, "Don't get her drunk." I mean,
man. Like Belle's like, I don't know what he's saying, but I appreciate his voice. He was singing to me, and I was like, shit, who does that?
A pygmy elder everywhere I was going. They were like, "This is your first time in Africa." They were just entertaining me. Like, "Here, this is my gift to you. This is, you know, welcome home. This is what we're gonna do." Like singing and dancing everywhere to the boat ride. Like they love to sing. They really do. And they explained it to me. They said this is what unified them after the genocide. This is what helped them heal a lot of traditional song and dance, which is why they do it so openly and freely now. Like it's one of the things that glue them together, and the young people picked up. So that's what they love it. So everyone always gets into singing and dancing there. So it's like you just get pulled into the mix. So yeah, it was just it was definitely worth it. So it was very, you could feel the love. You could definitely feel the love.
I can't wait.
That's what's up, man.
I can't wait.
That was like so powerful. Like I was loving all your fucking videos and
I was logging on to Facebook just to see what she like post. Every time I see the little red bell, I'm like, "Ooh, did she post anything?" I was like, "Think out."
Right.
Oh, you got nice.
Yeah, like they treated me so like I knew I got a very special tour compared to what everyone else did, because of course he tours, you know, he does like mostly white people do his tours and everything. He's
and they get tired of them.
Yeah, they do. They're like, "Oh God," you know, people always come here and like always want to live like refugees for fun. So
yeah, I mean, or they want to see the gorillas and shit like that.
Yeah.
Why they, you know, eating up all our damn mayonnaise. Oh my goodness. Well, when I go, I'm gonna need ketchup with my fries, not mayonnaise. So.
But yeah, no, but you felt like they really made me feel welcome, and they were like, "Listen, you like if more Black Americans come, like we open our arms to them, like definitely come through, like we want to see you guys there." So like they definitely like pull you into the culture, and like everything was funny is even though I was like on the tour, like I feel like I got like a specific Black tour. Like you're like, no, you're gonna get the real culture. You're gonna get the real. We're not taking you to those tourist spots. Like we're taking you to where we hang out, where we roll, because like you.
That's what I want to. That's what's up. Because that's what I want to experience when I go over here. Like I want to experience what the people do.
Exactly. So they weren't taking you to like expensive spots. Like they took me to like, you know, like the highest. Okay, this is the most fanciest hotel, has the best view of the city. Okay, you know, you got those pictures. Fine. Let's go to where, you know, where we really roll and where we hang out. Like this is our city, and this is how we're gonna show you.
So hear me out. Like your tour is kind of like when I went to Florida with the I think what is it called down in Orlando, where you do like the
Disney World or some crap like that.
Yeah, it's like Disney World, but you do like the tour of the countries.
Yeah.
And,
I guess it's like that.
What is it called? But what you like? No, I was looking at your tour. It's like if I had virtual reality glasses on, and you was doing your interaction, I definitely would have felt like, damn, I smelt the bull's ass, the nut. Like, what the fuck? That's how, like, literally, that's how deep I was into like your whole experience. So I was like, shit.
When that horn came towards me and that man started singing, I did not expect that. Those were their sacred cow. Like they really do. Like traditionally, cows were very sacred, very important. That's how like you got like the wife's dowry. If you wanted to get a bride, you give a cow, and like a cow, if someone gives you a cow there, it's like you are bonded for life with them. That's a huge. and because that was their source of income, their source of food, and they still maintain that tradition. So I went to the King's Palace to kind of learn a little bit about their history and tradition and all this prior to colonization and then up until that point. And, there's these people there who just maintain it and like bring the cows up and they just start singing to you. And as you hear, their voice is beautiful. Out of nowhere, everyone's just singing. And I'm like, I didn't know what to do. They're like, what do I do? He's like, just pet the cow. I guess, I don't know. But that's just how it was everywhere I went, like, and they do good. Like, that's another thing about it. I would say, even with the genocide happening, they make sure people don't forget. They're almost I want to say they told me there's about 5 to 7 genocide memorials where at the memorials, they put the mass graves of the bodies, the people they found. And till this day, they are still finding bodies if you build a house, when they're excavating in the earth, they can still find, some bodies, and they try to do what they can to piece together to give the family some closure till this day. So they bring them to the memorial, and the memorial is where everyone can go to basically mourn. So when I went to the genocide memorial in Kigali, you see random Rwandans there who just, like in tears looking at pictures because this is the only thing they have of their family. And these were some young adults. So they still, it's not like it's something that's not talked about, but it's like you kind of, they have ways of grieving. They've already established that. Like they do it like in a healthy way and they don't try to erase it. They're really trying to piece together, what happened and give people some closure. So there's tons of genocide memorials to visit, and it's a really humbling project. And what it does, and it's just sad, it kind of gives me a chill to think about it. It's sad because basically 1 million people had to die to make them what they are now.
Yes.
And the thing is, they know this. They
kind of
recognize
like with the state of Israel. I mean, Israel would have been with that. But another thing about the genocide memorial, for all the people listening, you have children. If you go to Rwanda with children, and if you're under the age of 10, the child cannot go in.
Yeah,
they don't allow that.
They don't. Yeah, because I walked into the children's genocide section, and I mean, almost broke down because I mean, they have some remains there, and you can piece together. I can tell the age of the person. I'm like, oh my god. So and it's a really humbling experience. And what was interesting, of course, I'm there, and there's mostly like white people there. And you could tell, like, because they go through the history, they don't cover anything up. They're like, nope, we were like this before. Belgian came, they started all this shit. They divided us through tribalism, and this is what happened. And so
it's so good to hear that because a lot of black folks they like to walk on eggshells around them, especially with our history and their role in our shit. A lot of people want to walk around eggshells around them to make them feel comfortable.
Not to offend them, and that's how it was when I went to Uganda. Like it was like you could tell like they were like trying to embrace, colonization in a way. It was just stupid. I was like, oh my god, I'm so stupid. But like in Rwanda, they're like, no, they called it for what it is. So you could see. I just wanted to see the discomforting faces on all these white people. Just seeing their
we could conclude that they won't be back next year, and that's good. We love that. We're happy with that.
Yeah, some of them did break down in tears, and then you saw like the perspective of some of them who just couldn't even compute it and would just walk away because they just couldn't deal with it. And I'm like, like this is your shit.
Exactly.
Like you need to swallow.
On the role that the French played in arming the genociders.
Well, and they go through all of that. They say, listen, before this, we were living peacefully. And then he came and then just turned shit up. And, all of this happened. And now, and in the end, none of you guys helped us. You let us die.
So that's why when they go there, they don't get treated like, like they're the fucking kings and queens of the world.
Nope. And that's exactly. And you go to the genocide memorial, like they'll ask you, they're like, where are you from? Because they want you to write like, like a message in their big memorial book. And they'll get this posted and stuff or whatever, so everyone could see. And when they asked me where I was from, I was like, I'm from, I'm from, New York. And he was like, no, where are you really from? And that's when I was like, well, I'm a descendant of the slave trade and everything. My parents are from Haiti. And he's like, well, welcome home. You're always welcome to come back. Like this is where you belong. The entire continent is yours. And if you can't find peace in any other country, come here.
Yep.
Like this is where, so that's how it was. Like they were just very, very, and these are people I don't know. I don't even know their names. They were saying this to me.
Wow.
So,
Well,
that's how open and welcoming they were.
Well, I'm definitely sure there's going to be an African American presence in Rwanda going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Believe that. Run, tell that. Believe that.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. All right, sis. Well, let me let you go. Because I got to hit the gym in the morning. I got a crazy routine to do.
Yeah.
But definitely, because there is a messenger group solely for the Rwanda trip. I think it's still up there, right? Obviously, nobody's been in it.
We can reactivate it. It's not a problem.
Yeah, we can reactivate it because the tour guide was in it with us, and we were talking with him.
He was, yeah.
Yeah, so we definitely got to get that reactivated. Like I said,
and
get the flyers.
He's willing to do a show, because I talked to him about doing shows. He's willing to do one, too. He was very informative.
Oh, definitely.
He's like, yeah, do a show.
Did he reach out to Dynas? Because
no, well, he didn't. I didn't give him Dynas information, but if Dynas wants to, I can give Dynas his information.
Yeah, Dynas said it's cool. Dynas like, yo, just set it up. So it's on you. So
okay, yeah, all right. So I'll definitely let him know and get that set up.
But also, that's why I was like, me and you to get together and try to finish up the flyer for the BAIO the
and
trip.
I definitely have a little bit more time this week, so we can do that.
Okay, so like I said, you already have the template, so you can actually fill in the slots because you are like the person that is spearheading everything. I'm just creating this for everybody. So whatever you got, you good.
Yeah. All right,
and I definitely want to get those T-shirts made with the BAIO logo with half of the logo with the Kigali skyline and the skyline of whatever city you're from. You know, show that
We actually get one of our members. I know some of our members. Shauna makes T-shirts.
Nice.
She does like the T-shirts and everything. And I think she's in South Carolina. But Shauna, I know she does that. So that way we could.
Kigali with a palmetto, thing going on here. So that'll be sweet. But yes, definitely. Well, that's definitely something I'm looking forward to.
Well, we appreciate you, Belle. We appreciate you taking your time out. I know you are a very busy woman.
Yeah.
And Neo is more excited. He's excited, just like I was. I appreciate all the
definitely was.
Like you asked all the questions. I was like, damn, he's like great. You should be doing more shows, bro.
He should. He really should.
I try. It's like once in a blue moon, I pop in. Once I get the Forex thing popping, that's gonna be my main thing, the day trading thing. I always said that's gonna be my niche with the BAIO when that gets popping, because my goal is to show people how to make money, get free, and go home. So that was it. But I'm definitely looking forward to everything. I definitely appreciate you coming out to talk with us, because like when you were there, I was like, damn, she left me. So I was like, damn. So when she gets back, I was like, we got to talk to her about this. I was like, oh man. So but definitely we're gonna get everything set up for the November trip. So if anyone's interested, please go to the BAIO's webpage on Facebook and just send a message out to any of the administrators that you're interested in the trip. Also, there's the Rwanda trip page. Go in there and say if you're interested in joining the trip, and we'll send you the information about what to do. We're not doing a GoFundMe or anything like that, like other groups of people. The only thing we're just utilizing our numbers to get, economies of scale, get the price down. That's it. But other than that, we look forward to going on this trip, and it's going to be, in the words of Trump, something very special. We're going to have an amazing time, and I won't be surprised at all if half the people on the trip, don't end up coming back to the United States and, leaving the United States in 5 years. So, but that's the goal. So, with that being said, Belle, Dundada, brothers and sisters, deeply appreciate y'all coming through. We had a great discussion, and we look forward to another one. Belle, I recommend do a show with the sisters talking about this. I would love to hear, because y'all get some great content when y'all talk about stuff.
It's been so long. So yeah, I'll try to get on.
Adjua? What's that? Adjua?
Yeah, Adjua.
Man, I love her opinion, man. She's like her and like
but the sisters be hustling too, so it's hard to
know that. So like when y'all get together, it's very powerful though. So like if y'all get together I'd definitely be tuning in. So like, especially when I get the time. So yeah. So no rush, but we'll work on getting that information out for everybody, and linking up with Dynast, hopefully, and getting the word out. So yeah.
Yes, and if we could get more sisters to go on the trip too, that would be amazing.
Yeah, I would
because
on a trip. I mean, I'm fine being around you fellas, but I'm like, let's just make it like it'll be fun with the ladies. I want them to see this. They really
definitely. We want as many people possible to see this. All right. But thank you so much, sis. I appreciate talking to you, and we'll chat again, and we'll hammer this thing out. All right.
All right. Good night,
family. Good night, everybody.
Good night, family.
Peace. Peace to Holip. I know he had to go to work.
Yeah.
Somebody will shut his channel down for him.
Yeah.
All right, peace, family.
All right, then.
Bye.
Bye.
You can't compare to the status right here. Legendary worldwide, we can battle right here. Listen, Junior, I'ma tear back your wig. This ain't TV, but I'll show you what a fear factor is. Stop grilling me, and all that fronting is killing me. You leave me no choice but to hurt your feelings, G. About to slap rappers around and bruise the game. What?